The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about.
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. It is Wednesday, September 1st, 2021 years after Zero Rabbit. This show starts right now. If you're listening on SiriusXM Channel 82, Mad Dog Sports Radio, I can't thank you enough. And if you're watching along at youtube.com/The Pat McAfee Show, you can see that I am in day 9 of COVID captivity, one day away from being able to sniff that sweet smell of freedom and see the world once again. I can't thank you all enough for riding alongside of me during these troubling, trying times that I've had leading up to the most beautiful month that we have. We are in September, and that means one thing and one thing alone. There are 11 other months, and some other months have NFL football. What September means, though, is that NFL football is about to be propelled into our lives. NFL football is about to take over the entire world. NFL football is 8 days away, and the fact that it's September should make us all excited for everything that's in store for us as sports fans. I'm at my house, but the Toxic Table is in the studio downtown Indianapolis. Just yesterday at Boston, Connor learned that the Mac Jones era has officially begun in New England. Ty Schmidt is looking for another season of the Green Bay Packers having success after an offseason riddled with drama and controversy. At Tone Diggs, the COVID Cowboys hat is fitting a little bit tighter because his brain is so big from the heater he's been on gambling and hammered down. It's a beautiful day, September 1st, and I'm so thankful that you all are here at Boston Connor, 24 hours removed from learning that Mac Jones will be your starter this particular season at Boston Connor. Has the high and the buzz of the basic body having young quarterback being your guy for the next 10 to 15 years maybe. Has that worn off, or are you still riding high?
Absolutely not, Pat. You said it's been 24 hours. It might as well have been 24 minutes because I still feel as though I'm having an out-of-body experience realizing that the Patriots dynasty is back on 7-9 1 year. I felt like a billionaire who lost all my money overnight with one football season. Now all of a sudden we're back. It feels as though, Brady is decades away from being removed from the Patriots, and it's the Mac Jones era, baby. We are flying high, and we will continue to fly high, especially when we start the season 10-0.
Okay, so I asked the people on the internet, both on my Instagram, in which I'm 3,000 away from 1 million on there.
Here we go. Woo!
No big deal. I mean, I think that's kind of a big deal for the people that love Instagram.
It's a milestone.
Absolutely. If you didn't use dude so much, too, you'd be at like 1.5 by now, probably.
I don't know exactly what that means. What does that mean?
I believe your dude comments were being if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I probably would have been there a couple of days ago, I guess, if the NFL had the word dude and got me eliminated from their comment section. But I don't do the Instagram that much, strictly because I'm more of a writer than a photographer. So Twitter has always been my weapon of choice. I've always enjoyed it. I've always dived into it a bit more. I've invested more into it. I spend a lot of time on it. But Instagram has become a place that I've enjoyed. The filters have made me look more attractive. I think that's maybe why I'm near 1 million. But all of you guys, incredible electricity has obviously helped us everywhere. At Ty Schmidt. Before we dive into the greatest documentary I've seen, I think. Okay, Untold Crimes and Penalties about the Danbury Trashers. in the Galante family that I don't know how I didn't know this family existed or this team existed. CFO Phil, by the way, would have been a perfect trasher. Okay, he should have been a Danbury trasher. I'm not sure that we knew this existed, but if during the time we did know, I would have been doing everything in my power to drive CFO Phil Maine's ass to Danbury to become a member of that goon squad that beat the shit out of everybody underneath the mob boss Jimmy Galante and his son AJ Galante, who did a fantastic job building a team. That is not going to get talked about enough. They broke some rules. They gave bonuses because they cared about their players more than anybody else. And before we dive into that, Ty, I want to ask you, Hard Knocks stunk this year.
It did.
Why is that? I watched Hard Knocks this morning. I missed it last night. We should have been hyping that up a little bit. But are we at the time now with all the teams doing their own basic Hard Knocks and kind of getting to see all of this content that we never were able to see before when Hard Knocks was introduced? We never really got to see the behind closed doors, the team meetings, the relationships and everything like that. Do you think Hard Knocks is a victim of circumstance now that everybody has the access and ability to see how every building operates? Because I watched it, and I don't know if this is the last episode or not. I watched it this morning, and it was incredibly underwhelming in my eyes. Don't you think, Ty?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's one more episode, but I think a big part of it is if you want to find stuff and like inside looks at your team, you can just go to the team website or Twitter, Instagram. Like you can find that stuff, but I think there still was like, You're not hearing coaches and players and guys you don't really know like drop F-bombs and see them being like super competitive on the field. And that's what I feel like Hard Knocks used to have, that like the production quality was so good, but it seems like really since like Rex Ryan was on there and he just blew up big time, like they've been so selective with the editing. Like we get such a small glimpse of Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones and like these figures who we really, really want to get to know more. That's not just the bullshit media facade that they have to put on all the time. But it just always goes back to, we get 6 or 7 guys who probably aren't going to make the team. And I think at this point, it's just like, I'm just not especially if you're not a Cowboys fan, like I'm not invested in those stories or those guys in any way, shape, or form. I want to hear Mike McCarthy in a meeting room, dropping 30 F-bombs about why he's pissed off about certain things. It's just what they choose to show, because we know they film all week too. So what they choose to show has just been very interesting the last few years.
Yeah, I think so. And Ty is our resident film and everything critic.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you went to school for that, didn't you?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, to judge and, I don't want to say belittle, but basically call into question decisions that are made by these people who have these monster budgets to create content. And I think Hard Knocks for me was always an incredible inside look into facilities that I wasn't able to play at. Right, so I wanted to see how the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, I still remember it like it was yesterday. If you go to training camp with the Cincinnati Bengals, every single day at dawn, they ring that alarm or whatever, and everybody has to be up. And I'm like, okay, happy I'm not a fucking Bengal. And then it goes through the entire building and everything like that, and how they operate. I think that is what Hard Knocks has always been. But in this world of content now, it's like I feel like we learn more via Twitter accounts from teams than we do from Hard Knocks. And hell of a run, though, by Hard Knocks.
Yeah, good work.
We appreciate you, Hard Knocks, for everything you've done. It seems like you have lost your fastball completely, but we did appreciate the time you were on the mound, allowing us to watch things that we were never able to see before, and now social media has just completely cucked you. Pretty much. I mean, that is kind of what has happened to Hard Knocks. But Mike McCarthy in that dress shirt last night, whenever he started dancing in there, he's like, oh, you boys thought I just had coaching stuff. Like, I love that. His little motivational speech for the last, hey, fly around. It's always good to hear little Yinzer in there. Jerry Jones at the end selling Whataburger after Whataburger has already become a sponsor. Hey, tell him how many times I send you to go get me fucking Whataburger. And that assistant on the spot there is like, okay, this is a Whataburger representative. They have paid a certain amount of money. And Jerry's obviously set me up. 5 times I make him a week go get Whataburger. And I like it the original. I don't even like it warmed up, Jerry said. Just listening to Jerry sell Whataburger on how appreciative he was of their sponsorship, watching why he is a business mogul was fucking amazing to me. That, by the way, that was during the credits.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Put that son of a bitch in the middle of I want 20 minutes of Jerry Jones selling fucking water to a well. I want to see Jerry Jones selling ice to an Inuit. That's what I want to see. I don't get to see that ever. And I think that's where Hard Knocks potentially missed. We got one more week, though. Maybe they'll be able to make that happen. Zito, you said you have something to say. What's going on, bud?
So I think that was a makeup just for McDonald's in that first episode, because I think they were so pissed off that line not adding anything, like the salt, that's how I took that.
I like it original.
Exactly,
Nothing.
yeah.
I don't like it warm. I don't like it. I don't need to dump fucking what? 5? How many? Tell him. Tell what? How many milligrams of sodium do I have to put on every time? Tell him 2 bottles, 3 bottles. We saw it in the first Hard Knocks episode. Yeah, that might be the case. I did enjoy that McDonald's McGriddle in the first episode, but Whataburger is who we 5 times a week.
Easy.
5 times a week. At Tone Diggs, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nobody's talking about their team really after the cuts have been made. Feels like everything's under control over there. A little bit worried with how quiet everything's been out of Steelers camp. The only thing we've really heard is Juju doing a milk crate challenge and potentially upsetting everybody in Pittsburgh. But no real conversation about a lot of these teams after they had to get down to 53, boss.
Yeah, the local media is mostly talking about how 2 rookies might possibly be starting on the O-line, so that is still the number one concern going into the season. But they did cut long snapper of the Steelers and sign Christian Kuntz, who is a former Duquesne Duke. So it was a great day to be a Duke yesterday, getting him on the team.
I saw you Instagram story that.
Oh, yeah.
And I tried to tell you yesterday, like, let's not celebrate yet. Right?
I know. I thought about that as like an hour after I posted. I was like, fuck. Like, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, literally, as I was looking at your congratulations to this guy on Instagram, I had typed up a response to you that was like, all right, let's not fucking celebrate too soon here, but it is a great day to be a Duke. Normally, if they're going to keep a long snapper after training camp, that is a position that they're not just going to sub out, because there's a lot of obvious, ebbs and flows and chemistry that needs to happen there. Speaking of, let's talk about the big storyline coming out of yesterday, the 53-man rosters being created around the NFL. Not just Mac Jones, that was obviously the big story, but the internet went banana land because the Detroit Lions currently have 0 kickers on the roster and basically 0 wide receivers on the roster. Motor City Dan Campbell released both their kickers, Randy Bullock and Zane Gonzalez, leaving them without one currently on the roster, tweets Adam Schefter and everybody else around the internet football world. I think this is a fascinating thing because the world sees no kicker on the roster. And you hear Motor City Dan Campbell say, we're going to gnaw kneecaps and change the way things are done. So you have to think to yourself, is Motor City Dan Campbell thinking about just going at it with 0 kickers? Is he thinking about changing the game completely? Or are we just going for it? Are we going for 2? Are we not kicking any field goals? Or does Motor City Dan Campbell know that he's been around the NFL long enough that there's going to be some good kickers that are probably released from other teams, and he's going to take his cards, he's going to put all 5 down and say, I need 5 new ones. Seems like in this team-building process for Motor City Dan Campbell, he wants to get it right by his way, how he does things, new culture being set in there. Don't love it for Bullock or Zane Gonzalez, but Money Badger, Michael Badgley's already been released. There'll probably be a couple other big names that have been released that'll get into the Lions uniform soon. And if they make kicks, they'll stay. If not, they'll leave. But I did hear that there was a chance he was thinking about dipping back into the past. Is that right, Coach? MCDC, I heard you were thinking about maybe going back into the past to save Detroit. Is that happening?
I'd do anything I could to get fucking Jason Hansen back, man. I love that guy so much. And that's the thing, man, is if he's got to be tough, we got to put him out at D-end or linebacker. I know Hansen will get the job done, man. So
Hansen was the kicker for the Lions for 45 years, saw 0 playoff games.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yikes.
One of our best players of all time.
Never. And the fascinating thing about it is I have the utmost respect for Hansen. He ran 45 yards for every kickoff. I had to act like him a couple times whenever we were playing the Lions. It was exhausting. I don't know how he was able to do what he was able to do for so long, make so many kicks. But you have to question, like, none of his kicks mattered.
Nope.
Literally none of them mattered.
Like, he made a lot of kicks, which is all you can really ask for. Like make kicks, and you're only as good as the team that you're on, and blah, blah, blah. But that's why what Adam Vinatieri was able to do for so long was so fucking impressive, because literally every kick was potentially deciding home field advantage through the playoffs.
Yep.
Maybe a wild card. This in the games, it was mad. Like, that was something that was crazy to me in Hanson's career. Who knows who they'll pick up there, but there's a lot of guys that are going to end up on the market, and we all know the kicking game. All you got to do is hope that somebody gets into your building and gets hot. That's what obviously MCDC's hoping for.
Pat, do you think that there's a chance that him cutting those two guys, like one of them might have been good enough, but there's a chance that he was so pissed at this fucking show because of Ty that he said, fuck it. This is not for the brand. I'm cutting both kickers. We'll bring in someone later just to send a message. Quit doing that goddamn impersonation.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he's attacking the show. Okay, I think he probably appreciates the MCDC impersonation that we have, because there's a lot of other ones out there that aren't necessarily fantastic.
Who's?
That'll only continue to grow. A lot of people. I mean, everybody's doing MCDC now. You know what I mean? And it's only going to oh, jeez. It's only going to continue. I am, yeah. I've been drinking and eating too much because I feel like I'm out of the woods. So
Here we go.
I'm hopping right back into the world and have a little indigestion. But if this team ends up winning, the MCDC impersonations are only going to pick up. Now, it's going to be tough to win with no wide receivers and no kickers, but there's still another week and a half before the game has to be figured out. These rosters are going to continue to evolve. Let's go to another roster decision that was made in the kicking department. The Green Bay Packers have parted ways with J.K. Scott, much to the delight, I assume, of Ty Schmidt, who has said that J.K. Scott, although he's appreciated his time as a Green Bay Packer, has not necessarily been the most consistent punter. He's been great sometimes. He's been awful in other situations. And punting, the difference between good and great is consistency. Now, Corey Bojorquez, who is an absolute bomber, is on the team, and I'm excited to see how it pans out. Never want a bad punter or kicker to be the reason why your team won't make it. It seems like there was a couple situations where JK could have performed better in the big situations. Corey Bojorquez, formerly of the Bills, was in training camp with the Rams against Hecker, is now a member of the Packers, and I believe they traded another draft pick for him.
Yeah, it was that and a sixth-round pick, I think, for a seventh-round pick in return.
So this automatically led to Green Bay Packers stooges to say, well, they wasted a draft pick on a punter. You should never do that because J.K. Scott didn't work out. And they wasted another one on Corey Bojorquez. Goody's got no idea what he's doing. Now, Goody has no idea what he's doing for other reasons in my eyes.
Yeah.
But let's not get crazy just because J.K. Scott didn't work out, acting as if it's a waste to draft somebody that you think could be a game changer at the punting position. Just because you don't fully understand football and understand that field position is normally the second tell on who won the game, and having a punter is an absolute weapon for you, especially if you're a championship team. I was drafted. Did that work out? Some say early, no, but in the end it did. Kevin Huber, who's still at the Bengals, was drafted. He's an absolute baller. Morstead was with the Saints for 10 years. He was drafted. That's just my draft class. So just because J.K. Scott didn't work out, let's not start throwing fucking bullshit slander on drafting a punter being a terrible, god-awful decision. There's been a lot of undrafted free agent punters and kickers that have had a lot of success, but there's a lot of guys that have been drafted that have had immense success as well. Look at Janikowski and Leckler. Those are two of the best players that the Raiders have ever had. Everybody said they reached too high for them, but if you're good for 15 years, who gives a fuck? There's a lot of first-round quarterbacks that don't work out. Should you stop drafting quarterbacks in the first round because 80 to 90% of them won't end up on the same team that they were drafted 5-6 years later? No. So I'm tired of the bullshit slander on the entire punting position because J.K. Scott didn't work out with the Packers. I hope Corey Bojorquez does, but if he doesn't, they might have to make another move and sign somebody else because punting is a position that matters in professional fucking football. I'm tired of having to explain that.
Well,
that being said, Aaron Rodgers, a quarterback, he can make up for a lot of things. Yeah. So you just need a punter not to fuck it up. So I'm upset about people saying it was a waste, it was a waste, it was a waste. Maybe J.K. didn't work out, but there's a lot of other punters in the past that have done many a great things for their teams with being a 6th round, 7th round, 4th round draft pick. You're just you're literally throwing a dart in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. You have a guess of where the bullseye is. You have a pretty, but that's all luck on if anybody hits. And everybody's saying you don't draft punters and stuff because of this. I just want to smack them right in the fucking mouth and say, you don't know football. It is awesome that you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. You just showed that to everybody that just read your shit right there.
Well, and to your point, I assume that it was a little bit tougher they went out and traded for Bojorquez, so I'm guessing they really weren't happy with J.K. Scott, but that's all in the consistency. You've talked about it a bunch. He has a massive leg. When he's good, he is good. But because he was a 5th-round pick, I'm sure they had a little, they had more. It was probably tougher to let go of him than to just be all right, whatever. I mean, he had to have done something in the preseason. He clearly wasn't good enough. Otherwise, he would still be the punter.
Yeah, and it's just, I just hate the bashing of I was picked 222. I don't know. Ended up becoming the punter of the decade, had some onside kicks to myself, made some tackles. I feel like I was a relatively good teammate. Is that a bad pick by the fucking Indianapolis Colts where they could have picked up, I don't know, a 9th-string offensive lineman at the same pick? I'm a little bit perturbed by people in their reaction. Goody stinks. I'm never going to say he doesn't stink, but this is not a reason why. Green Bay, Lambeau is not an easy place to punt at all. Hopefully, Bojorquez, who's used to Buffalo and his bomb balls, is the guy up there. But if he's not, I don't think they should stop searching for somebody that can be consistently great for them, because that's a big deal, especially for a team that's going to go late into the playoffs. The Lions have signed a kicker. Field Yates is reporting that the Lions have their kicker. That is not accurate either. Okay, if the Lions have their kicker is implying that this is who is going to be their kicker for the season. Austin Seibert out of University of Oklahoma, who was drafted, I think, to Cleveland and did not work out in Cleveland for whatever reason. I have no idea. Big ball, missed some kicks, made some kicks. He has a massive leg, was a kicker and a punter in college. He's a great athlete. From Ohio, so he's used to pneumonia in the winter. He could be a tough guy. He's an Ohio guy. I'm happy for Austin, happy for the Lions, but stating that that's their kicker would imply that means they're going to stick with him regardless. That is not the case at all. MCDC knows this guy misses a couple kicks. We'll move on to our next one. Austin knows that as well because he's already been through the gamut a couple of times. But congrats to the Lions now officially having a kicker on the roster.
Does this matter as much just because of what you just said? If he comes into practice and misses kicks, you can just, all right, see you later. Now let's bring in Bagley, and you just kind of have a damn near a list that you can just go down until you get your guy?
Yeah, Badgley. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, have a little respect for the money badger.
Yeah, they're that badger. That's what I said, right? I said the badger.
We don't want another Jinder Mahal situation over here.
Hey, look, Jinder, I wanted to bash him, and I did that. I don't want to bash Badger. Excuse me, Michael. I apologize.
Yeah, there's there'll be a crew of 5 to 6 guys that'll literally go work out each week at every team.
Yeah.
And they're just hoping to get in there, you find their spot, find a groove, and keep it moving. That's all MCDC's hoping. Hey, let's hope this guy comes in here and he has his swing.
Well, I was hoping MCDC would give you a call, Pat.
Oh.
Bro, listen. Although I do have the antibodies now.
Unicorn.
Legs feeling pretty good, I bet.
I'm playing for Bishop Sycamore.
Hell yeah.
Okay, if I play for anybody, I'm playing for Bishop Sycamore. Because I want those high school kids to realize, it's a fucking grown men high school football team.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Even these balls are coming down from a lot higher than most of those high school kids. And that's what that Bishop Sycamore squad can do. They can humble those children. And that's something that's not being talked about. Everybody's like, hey, listen, these adults are literally assaulting children with helmets on the field. It's yeah. But what about some of these arrogant fucking kids and how they need to be humbled by a 35-year-old who was a dropout and terrible at football and kind of fat? You know what I mean? And tackles with his helmet completely down. They were showing some highlights of some of those fat-ass Sycamore kids, grown men, I guess.
Yeah.
They were spearing high school kids and then celebrating about it. It's yo, what type of fucking weirdo, what goof, is celebrating spearing a high school child as an adult? And I guess that's what they do in Ohio. That's Bishop Sycamore.
And I don't want to bring up T-Bone, but T-Bone was pretty happy about spearing a couple of 5th and 6th graders on the ice. I don't know. I'm just saying maybe it's pretty invigorating. Who knows?
Okay, so Thank you for bringing that back up. And we got TJ Hawkinson joining us in like 4 or 5 minutes. We'll ask him. I thought he was potentially going to be the kicker for the Lions. You know, guy's a great athlete. He's a tight end. He can do all things. We do have Rupper just sent me a DM.
Yes, okay.
So Mike Rupp, who was featured in the greatest documentary of all time, Untold Crimes and Penalties, about the Danbury Trashers. It literally has everything in it, okay? When I'll say some things here, and you think to yourself, there's no way one documentary has all these things in. John Gotti, okay? John Cena. Triple H, The Rock, a hockey team fighting, an equipment manager getting suspended, a commissioner of a league who plays no fucking games, and then a trash company that was literally allegedly the enforcer behind all the mafias. And it's all in one documentary that revolves around a hockey team that was gifted to a 17-year-old kid. I mean, it is the greatest documentary of all time. Mike Rupper, Stanley Cup champ.
Yes.
He was a part of the team for its 1-year run it had. Cannot wait to chat with him. He'll be joining us at 1:15 Eastern, as will TJ Hawkinson when we get back from this break we're about to take.
So no TJ after the break.
Yeah, what's that?
No TJ after the break. They have a team meeting right now, and they asked if they could push it back at 2.
Okay, cool. So we'll get to a break. We'll answer some phone calls on the 5-Hour Energy phone line. 1-833-4-McAfee. Then we'll have TJ Hawkinson at 2 o'clock-ish Eastern Standard Time. We got the Rupper in the 1:15-ish Eastern Standard Time.
Come on.
I mean, we got some great things popping off on this beautiful September 1st. And don't ever forget, this is football season.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Okay?
Hey, Pat.
Is there music playing?
No.
No.
There's not.
There it is.
Zeet's running
He's got a couple.
Wearing a lot of hats.
I just want to let you know, if you ever want to buy a trash company, I will run it for you. Like, if you want to be hands off, I'll be hands on.
I want to let you know I appreciate that. It does seem like the Italians have a couple industries they're good at. Cement,
Yeah.
What?
Yep. Oh, yeah. Bodies.
trash.
What?
Bodies.
Spaghetti.
All right. They are pretty good at the spaghetti business.
They are.
Yeah.
All right, we're back in 4 minutes on the 5-Hour Energy phone line, 1-833-4-McAfee. I cannot stress enough, this documentary on Netflix, Untold Crime and Penalties, best documentary I've seen in a long time.
Yes.
It has everything in it, including Mike Rupp, who will be joining us in less than an hour. I can't wait to chat with you. Let's enjoy the hell out of it being September, and we'll see you in 4 minutes. Saw a picture of you getting out of, I think, a 757 that was from Jim Irsay. What was that, and have you ever been in that plane before?
I thought it was like the team plane to fly all of the Indianapolis Colts. Literally, I mean, it's got the logo on it, Pat, and it was awesome. But hey, look, that's just Jim. Pat, I had a wonderful 14 years there. It's obviously the team that I wanted to play for always. I understood the decision he had to make, and no hard feelings, and for him to send his plane to fly me and my son down here, it was a great gesture. A lot of room for me and Marshall. We were throwing the football. So, pretty cool experience. Pretty cool father-son weekend.
By the way, as he's moving from event to event right now, you are the best, dude. Where are you headed right now?
I'm going to the game. I got Lynch. I got Fanica. I got these guys in the background.
Boys, how you? Congratulations! Yeah. Congratulations, boys! All right, Peyton. Oh, hey, there he is. Marshall, I hope you enjoyed that plane, pal. Hey, Peyton, last thing here. You talking to Tom Brady, you becoming friends with him. It was interesting to watch. Oh, yeah, take the photo. Take the photo. All right, we will wrap this up.
Well, I'll tell you, Pat, I don't think anybody can do what Tom has done. Look, I know how hard it was for me to get on the same page with my receivers, learn a new system, learn new coaches. But I had a full off season. I was injured. I was rehabbing. The fact that Tom has done this in a COVID pandemic offseason, no time to meet with his receivers. He met with his coaches illegally by breaking into Byron Leftwich's house. So besides that, it's been incredible what he's been able to accomplish, and he deserves all the credit. His leadership is what's put the Bucs in this game today, and I have great respect for him because I know how hard it is, but he deserves all the credit.
Hey, how did you know Red 18 was coming?
Pat, I mean, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you telling that story and just growing the legend. That was about the 18th time I tried it. I was 17 going into that. And, you know, when it doesn't hit, you just keep walking and nobody ever really tells you about it. So when it hit, I was as surprised as you were. And the reaction from some of the good old folks there in the casino that night was pretty special.
Well, I appreciate you doing that. You made me and those folks in the casino a bunch of money. Congrats on the Hall of Fame nod. Thank you for spending time. Enjoy yourself at the game, Peyton.
Pat, thanks, pal. I appreciate you.
The Sheriff, Hall of Famer, Peyton Manning. How are ya? I'm Roman, a men's health brand that can dance very well and make you the best you possible. Are you suffering from male pattern baldness? We got something for that. Herpes. See ya! Premature ejaculation? Gone! No more coming too quick. Allergies as well. And that's not all. We have clinically tested supplements for everything, including erectile dysfunction. Come on! Bye-bye! GetRoman.com/Pat. Be the best you possible.
Do not talk about
Pat McAfee.
Do not talk about
Pat McAfee.
One fight at a time, fellas.
The Pat McAfee Show.
That's right.
Welcome back to that show. It is Wednesday, September 1st, 2021, years after zero. It is a great day to be alive. I'm on day 9 of my COVID confinement. One day before my release. I cannot wait to get back into the world, back into the studio with the boys. The Toxic Twins are there at the Toxic Table at Boston Connor and Ty Schmidt. Tone Diggs is there. As always, Gumpy, T's and P's in your COVID battle as well, pal. At Tone Diggs, Hammer Dahn is 15 minutes after the show ends every single day at youtube.com/Hammer Dahn. What are we talking about? You doing all futures bets? Did we make any money yesterday? I'll bet this. I'll bet you watch that documentary, Untold Crimes and Penalties, you'll say, hey, best fucking doc I've ever seen.
I watched it, Pat. I obviously enjoyed it very much. Anything that involves a good family is a doc that I'm going to enjoy, especially in the garbage industry. It's basically Sopranos in real life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, he's actually, I mean, that's how they lead off. This guy's the real life Tony Soprano. And then his kid's name's AJ. I've never seen The Sopranos, but his kid's name's AJ in there.
Bingo. Yep.
I mean, how do we not know this fucking existed? How is this happening right underneath our nose, especially up there in goddamn New England? I don't know, Connor. I don't know how you don't have 10 Trashers jerseys at this point.
Well, I mean, I wish I was around when Connecticut had such a high reputation during 2004 when the Danbury Trashers were crushing it, because since then, since they've fallen off, since the greatest GM of all time in all sports, AJ Galante, has left, it hasn't been the same ever since, Pat. I wish I knew. I wish I did. I didn't.
He didn't leave. Okay, his dad went to jail. The FBI.
Yeah, but that's when he said, you know what? I'm done with hockey. I can't do it anymore. I can't be a president. I can't be a GM. I'm putting my cards on the table and I'm going into boxing. What a weapon.
Well, he didn't actually go into boxing immediately, but I understand what you were saying.
Those 10 years as a driver, you know, he was just, okay, how am I going to start this boxing business? And then he just bided his time. And then here we are. He's promoting, I think he has a massive undercard fight he's doing coming up, too.
You're giving away behind-the-scenes stuff on the show, which is kind of classic.
I Googled him. Hey, I Googled him. I just saw what he was doing.
Yeah, you Googled that, huh? The information that we were sent directly behind the scenes. This is classic Boston Connor. I'll just air out all the grievances that we hear behind the scenes on the air live. Very nice of you.
Pat, I have a behind the air grievance to air out live. Everyone in the office absolutely loved the documentary. Said it was the best documentary of all time, except for this stooge right here.
I never said that. That never happened.
Why didn't you like it?
No, I loved it, and I literally told these guys, Zito and Nick, that I absolutely loved it.
He was
like
mad that
you said, it was one of the best docs I've seen in a very long time. But Zito came storming in and said top 10 doc of all time, and I said, "There's been a lot of
100%.
documentaries out there, Z. Just hold the horses."
And I told him to name 10. He couldn't.
Well, yeah,
I agree. Okay, obviously, I agree on the top 10 doc of all time.
Yeah.
By the way. Anytime you can get John Gotti to John fucking Cena.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it was really
and then-
good. Don't get me wrong.
and it was just every 10 minutes it seemed like it was getting better somehow. It was like, how can this story be more absurd?
Just
How
kept
can it be
one-upping every time. It was crazy.
Well, and
it never ended. I have no idea how it continued. I saw Triple H sitting at this kid's birthday party at the Rock, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding?" I actually texted Mr. H. I was like, "Do you remember going to AJ Galante's birthday party?" And he sent me back. He sent me back a question mark, and I was like, I think you're about to hear about this. I mean, you're a pretty big part of this entire documentary, Mr. H.
That's
Go ahead, Ty.
awesome, dude. You should send him a screenshot of him at this party. He probably has no idea.
Well, I think he's going to recall it quickly, but what were you going to say, Ty?
Well, I was just like lately with Netflix, especially a lot of the stuff we've been talking about is like, okay, you could trim a lot of fat here. Like it was the perfect amount of time. There was no wasted time in terms of like telling the story. Like, and that is something where it's like, oh shit, I almost wish this would have been a 6-parter.
Yeah, me too. The fact that it was only an hour and 27 minutes or whatever was disappointing. I think I was disappointed in that. And by the way, we just... it seems like we're never happy with anything, but this thing we are happy.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I think everybody should check it out. I think we got a chance to maybe even get, the greatest boxing promoter and hockey GM of our time, AJ Galante, on the show.
Oh, come on.
We'll talk to him. And I would like to potentially get Jimmy Galante in our corner, by the way. So, as we go into these negotiations with these big banks, I'm excited to hear. Imagine if Jimmy's sitting right behind me. I don't know if you know this guy, Jimmy Galante. Ever heard of him? He went to jail. He's clean, obviously, but I think there's some old habits that might die hard. All right, let's go. Did you know the Galante family existed, you Italians? No way, right?
No.
No, I wish. I'd have been up there in section 102 going wild with the crowd.
So many people haven't watched this doc yet, and this is a terrible show, because the show's supposed to be like, hey, we're supposed to talk about things everybody knows about, but we're 8 days away from actual football. Nothing really matters yet. Nope. We're kind of sitting here holding our dicks, and it's like this fucking documentary. This documentary happened. It's the greatest thing I've seen in some time. It's come at the perfect time. We'll talk to Rupper about that in hour 2. Let's get to the 5-Hour Energy phone lines, though. 1-833-4-McAfee. Use promo code McAfee at 5hourenergy.com to get 10% off your order of incredible 5-Hour Energy shots, the official shot of energy of the Pat McAfee Show. We love them, don't we?
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Peach mango. You just can't get enough of it.
When 5-Hour Energy came into our lives, it was just such a quick little, how you doing?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we all learned quickly that we don't get enough vitamin B12 or whatever in our lives. True. And that's what 5-Hour Energy was kind of created. In the first couple, I'd say the first year of 5-Hour Energy, you take the shot and you go, oh, just like any other shot you would do. It's like, hey, this is getting me to a destination, but this certainly does not taste fantastic. Mm-hmm. The 5-Hour Energy folks knew that. They went into the lab and they started creating these flavors, and they taste delicious. The aftertaste is incredible. The energy is fantastic. Go to 5hourenergy.com. Use promo code McAfee. Get 10% off your order. That's only good for one more month now.
Oh, no.
Right.
Clock's ticking.
Let's go to 5-Hour Energy phone lines. Let's go to Bobby in New Jersey again. Bob in New Jersey, what's going on, pal?
You know what the fuck's going on, boys? Wonderful Wednesday. How we doing?
Not too shabby. I'm going to be honest. I didn't mean to have you on 2 days in a row. You were just the first name on the list. I loved you yesterday, Bob. I assume I'm going to love you again today. Have to open up these spots for other people that don't necessarily get through, but I appreciate your efforts getting through the lines. What do you want to talk about, Bobo?
Hey, lucky guy. Quick shout-out to Gump staying hot, not just with the fever, but also on the diamond with the pick. Just got to say thank you to him.
He went undefeated last night.
Did he? He's doing a COVID cave thing where he's getting hotter?
Oh, yeah.
Let's go,
The
Gump.
COVID brings out the best of everyone. And but I'm a big Jets fan, and I'm looking forward to what we're doing, the rebuilding and all. Can't wait to watch Zach versus Mac for years to come. But real quick, Connor, just calm the fuck down. It's the Bills. It's the Bills division. It's Bills Mafia. Do you think any of us could take them out with these young quarterbacks? And I also just want to hear each and every one's Super Bowl picks today.
Okay, thanks, Bobby. We're not your fucking puppet, but we appreciate the call there. The AFC East is obviously heating up. You understand it's the Buffalo Bills division, don't you, Connor?
Yeah, I've said that before, but also in the same aspect, now we know our guy going into the whole season. It's not as if we have some sort of split locker room. So if everyone does buy into Mac, Bills have a tougher schedule than us because they got to play all the first place teams in the AFC. So there's a chance. And hey, with that Bills team, you never know who's going to be available week in and week out with all these vaccine problems they have up there. Just saying. I hope everyone gets to play and no one gets COVID ever again. However, let's be real here. It might happen.
Okay, so fascinating you said that because, and here's the projected division outrights. It is the Bills division at minus 150. The Patriots are actually third wow.
Yeah. Gold. Free money right there.
Can I bet that the Patriots end up at least in the top two in the AFC?
On FanDuel, you can go and you can actually bet how you think each division is going to finish. So you can bet if you think the Bills are going to finish first, you can go Bills, Patriots, Dolphins, Jets if you wanted to make that bet.
And our guy, that's exactly the bet that I would like to make, actually, because it feels as if people are giving the Dolphins a lot of credit because last year they were able to win a bunch of games. That was when Fitzmagic was their starting quarterback and when Fitzmagic was coming in late to make plays. I'm not saying Tua isn't mightily better. He might be. I'm not sure. But they have had to come out publicly now and say, Tua's our guy. Tua's our guy. You don't ever have to say Tua's our guy unless there was called into question on whether or not he was your guy. Tua, wow. The Dolphins, and Gumpy's not here to talk about it, but the Dolphins the Deshaun Watson news, that they're still in business and that the owner, I guess, wants Deshaun Watson on the team. So what does that mean if you're Tua? Now, this is grown men league. Okay, this is the men's league. So you have to kind of compartmentalize all the bullshit away and still go out and perform and do your job. But from the benching and the big moments last season to now them still having to fight off the fact that another guy might come in and be their quarterback, their owner allegedly wants another guy to be their quarterback. This has not been the best rollout for a young quarterback that's supposed to be the future of your franchise. And for that reason and that reason alone, I don't think the Dolphins are going to be worth a fuck. Now, they might be. I love B-Flow. Okay, I love the way the Dolphins kind of did their thing last year. They cut a lot of players. Seems like they got a lot of drama over there. Yeah. They have to come out and talk about their quarterback being their quarterback. That's not good to win football games. I don't think anytime there's drama, it's not good to win football games. It's hard enough to win football games in the NFL, let alone when you got to deal with that type of shit. So Tua might be mentally tougher than all of us, and he might be able to just say, like, yeah, I love this place, and yeah, I want to continue to be great. But I think that all buys into it a bit. I still see it as Bills, Patriots.
Whoa.
I don't know at the bottom of that.
I agree.
Hey, Zach Wilson's a fucking player, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sure.
And Bob Saleh, by all accounts, is a great defensive coach, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so the Dolphins being number 2 at the odds is crazy to me, personally. That is just insane to me, insane-o land. But everybody believes that this is the Bills to lose, and I assume that's the right way to view this whole thing, even if you're a fucking blind, I love Patriots guy. But it's funny you talk about the vaccination thing for the Buffalo Bills because Cole Beasley has a diss track and obviously the 5 days and everything that happened. Bill Belichick has come out and thrown himself right into the political fire.
Yes, he did.
I mean, Bill Belichick normally says absolutely nothing in his press conferences. He literally treats the media as if they're mushrooms.
Yep.
Let them sit under shit and don't tell them nothing and let them die, basically. is kind of how he views everything, and I don't know if that's the actual quote. There's something like that. He normally says nothing. Whenever the vaccination conversation was brought up on why he cut Cam Newton Is that why he cut Cam Newton? Colin Cowherd came out yesterday and said his sources told him that because Cam wasn't vaccinated and the 5-day thing happened, he's unreliable, which has ultimately helped lead to the decision to go with Mac over Cam. And now Urban Meyer is allegedly being investigated because vaccination status was used and who he's cutting and who he's not cutting. So the NFLPA is like, nah, you can't do that. That is, what would that be called? That'd be called
you can't discriminate.
Discrimination.
Yeah.
That'd be discrimination. And Urban Meyer had to come out and give a quote and say, nah, we're just talking about ability, availability, blah, blah, blah. Urban Meyer is continuing to learn that you can be a dictator in college and control absolutely everything. No matter what you say, it doesn't matter because you're the gatekeeper in the NFL. Every word you say is going to be scrutinized, and there's a union you actually have to deal with who's going to fight you. Urban Meyer will get through all of this, obviously. But Bill Belichick's quote on vaccinations is going to be one that's going to get very big, I think.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick stated, and I quote, "Your implication that the vaccination solves every problem has not been substantiated. The number of players and coaches and staff members who have been infected with COVID after being vaccinated is a pretty high number. I wouldn't lose sight of that," Michael Giardi. Says Michael Giardi, when Bill Belichick was asked if the vaccination status of Cam changed his mind, I believe this was his answer.
Yeah.
The unvaccinated play into his decision, no. But him talking about that vaccination is going to become something. And I don't know if the people who are super anti the vax are going to utilize Bill Belichick as their, hey,
leader.
Bill Belichick's going to go speak for us. But he's going to have to talk more about that because he just opened a can of worms with, I believe, every media member in football and outside of football. I'm excited to see how Bill Belichick handles this entire thing. But there's, to your point, Connor, there's the vaccination thing maybe becoming a little bit of a distraction, not only for the Buffalo Bills, but maybe for Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots when he has to answer questions about this.
Absolutely. I do think a lot of the players, like for Belichick, the only time that he does have to answer about it or see anything about it is when it's just coming from the reporters. Like, it's not as if he's going home and he's on Twitter or Instagram and posting these long, messages about what he actually meant. He doesn't give a shit. That's how he views it. And also, it's a very valid point. They've already changed the vaccination rule for testing in the NFL. So it's not as if you get the vaccine, you're completely, safe from it. You're not going to miss any games. Like, they can't promise you that you're not going to miss any games during the season due to COVID because you're vaccinated. I mean, people get vaccinated and they still get COVID. That's just the reality of the situation. Yeah, I know. It might blow your mind. However, that is actually what's happening right now.
You don't know the people that I've had to read about that have used me as an example for both of these things. I've been used as an example on both sides.
Breakthrough case.
I got vaccinated. Yeah, believe me, the news wanted to talk to me for being a breakthrough case. Excuse me, I am not, going to be the spokesperson for this. That is not going to be what I'm going to be the spokesperson for. I'm just trying to live my life and get back to being healthy, and here I am feeling very good. But a lot of people are saying because I was vaccinated is why I feel so good right now, so many days after. So I think the people that are on the vaccination side, open and publicly very vax, they're going to say, well, just because it's not stopping you from getting it doesn't mean it didn't help teach your body on how to deal with it once you got it, which is what a vaccination is. These are all the tweets I'm seeing from people that don't have MDs next to their name and are not doctors. This is just becoming something on the internet, obviously, that I've seen because I'm a part of it. But Bill Belichick stating that it's only going to continue. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Especially because of how intelligent of a human he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we know how intelligent of a man he is. He's very well thought out. Everything he says is cerebral. So that statement coming out isn't just the first, I assume, of his knowledge and his beliefs in this entire thing. They're going to continue to ask him throughout the season. He'll handle it probably how he handles everything else, but it's a wild time to be alive for sure. Absolutely.
Do you think that at any part of the season, like, this will kind of just take the back burner and do you think coaches are going to continue to harp on this every single week? Or do you think, like, if we have a little period of time where nothing's really happening, no one's getting it, it'll kind of go to the back burner until some massive name ends up missing a game for it? Or do you think it's going to be like a weekly, like, hey, Jesus Christ, like, you guys still aren't fucking vaccinated. Please just do this.
Some coaches, but there's also a lot of other coaches. I mean, have we heard anything from Frank?
No, not really. No.
Right? Frank Reich here, the Colts, I guess, have a COVID vaccination number issue, I think.
I mean, they have. I don't know. It hasn't been updated. I have no idea. And there's articles coming out about how selfish and everything Carson Wentz is. It seems like the media knows that there's potentially not as many people vaccinated as the NFL would hope on the Colts. I'm not sure. We haven't really been up. But you haven't heard Frank come out and say, like, yeah, my team's a bunch of fucking assholes for not doing it. I think there is a Ron Rivera. You heard him come out. Zimmer came out very strong. Bill, with what he said, it sounds like he's like, you guys got to do what you got to do, make your own decisions. This is a very personal thing. You're injecting your body with something. Now, the doctors have all said that, hey, this will help you in this whole thing. But it feels like there is kind of a situational situation happening here where each individual team is dealing with it differently. And as soon as a big name misses a game, it's not just that team that's going to react, by the way. The NFL will as well. They're not happy if a star misses a game, and in their eyes, it was potentially avoidable or whatever the case. Let's get back to the 5-hour energy phone line. Let's go to the beautiful man in Minnesota, Jake. What's going on, Jake?
Hey, on the boys. Happy hump day. Shout out to Roman.
Nice. Shout out.
I got two things. I got Herb Smith's supposed to be a big part of the Vikings offense. And then you go sign this schlub, second string from the Jets. You got Zach Ertz sitting over there in Philly. Like, come on now. And then for two, what's up with our kicking? It's been an Achilles heel forever. We can't get over it. Hopefully it gets better this year, but we got a problem with it. Hopefully it gets better.
Thank you, Jake. I'm not 100% sure what the fuck you're talking about. I should follow the Minnesota Vikings roster a little bit. You get rid of Kyle Rudolph. It sounds like there's a little bit of an issue in the tight end department. Tight ends are a big deal for Kirk Cousins in that offense. Hopefully they'll be able to figure it out. Zach Ertz still a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, and that has been called into question now for 2 years straight. And is anybody going to trade to get him out of there or not? Philadelphia has so many bigger problems. I think that kind of gets lost in the mix. Let's head back to the phone lines here. Let's go to Andrew in Tampa on the 5-hour energy phone line. What's going on, Andy?
Hey, Pat, I'm doing good, man. Listen, I had a call yesterday. I may or may not have, right before you took me on that call, rolled up a cigarillo full of some very, very potent vitamins and took it to the dome. And then I heard my name, and it was just, deer in headlights. I choked.
Yeah, you had a terrible call yesterday, Andrew. You did have a terrible call yesterday.
I made the show that stinks. I made it that much worse, so I just want to apologize to you guys.
That's all right. You're back, huh? You're getting back in the batter's box, and you're swinging. You're not Shohei Ohtani, okay? No. You're just more like Jason Kendall, all right? No gloves.
Still good.
Yesterday, you step back in there and swing. I got nothing but the utmost respect for that, Andrew. What do you want to talk about? Let's not fucking ruin 2 days.
Please.
Thank you, man. So I'm going to get my point out this time about Antonio Brown. I think this year, depending on how well he plays, and I think he's going to be lights out this year, I think this year will weigh heavily, 5, 6, 7, whenever he retires down the road, into his Hall of Fame conversation, especially if they're able to go back-to-back this year. Your thoughts?
Okay, I thought we were going to lose him again there. That sound created, that was the same crowd or sound as yesterday. Andrew, big Antonio Brown fan. If Antonio Brown has another massive year, you're not – I'm a guy who thinks Antonio Brown is unbelievable because I've had to dance with Antonio Brown. Yeah. I'm 53 1/3, and he shook the shit out of me. All right, so I've gotten a chance to watch Antonio Brown's greatness. I've gotten a chance to listen to NFL players talk about Antonio Brown and what he was able to do on the field to other NFL players. His work ethic is something that everybody has complimented. Off the field, though, he's going to have to get a couple years removed and not have any fuck-ups happening. And it's not fair, but that will be definitely taken into account whenever the Hall of Fame conversation happens. Antonio, I don't think, is thinking about retirement anytime soon. He's still working harder than ever. And right now, he is either the third or fourth option, allegedly, on the Buccaneers. And whenever you think about something like that, you talk about an offense being unstoppable. Whenever you can double Mike Evans, all right, let's double Godwin. All right, let's double Gronk. That's 6 players right there. You're only allowed 11 on the field. Yep. And you have to have defensive linemen. because of Leonard Fournette and everything like that. I think Antonio Brown's stats are only going to go up. His accomplishments are only going to go up. The Hall of Fame conversation, though, is going to revolve around what he does off the field from this point forward, as much as we don't like it. Hour 1, wrapping up on this beautiful Wednesday, September 1st. It's NFL season.
Yeah! Come on!
Days away from kickoff and it really mattering. We'll continue to pass the time. Hour 2, we'll see Mike Rupp and AJ Hawk. We'll see you then. Perennial Pro Bowler, an all-pro, a man who's aging like fine wines, Green Bay Packers legend, Super Bowl champion, from Butte, California, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Rodgers!
Please tell me that that's going to be a one-time thing.
What is the longest you've ever thrown?
Yeah, somewhere between 68 and 70, Pat. I don't know, right in that sweet spot.
69 yards is how far you threw it. Nice, congrats.
Hell yeah! Hell yeah!
Of course you have, by the way. Of course you have.
With home!
That doesn't get you going for a game? Are you kidding me?
No, but I have a funny Creed story. So, in 2007, we're playing the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday night. We're 10-1. I have long hair. I'm a backup, and before the game, we walked down the field, and I don't know if it was on purpose, but our intro song was Creed with Arms Wide Open. I looked to my buddy Nate Weir, who AJ knows Nate really well, and we both said this is going to be a good night. And that was the night I came in off the bench and played pretty well and kind of changed the narrative about me from, possible draft bust to, hey, this guy might be able to play, maybe.
Thank you, Creed.
Yeah! My kids say, if they see him on TV, there's Uncle Aaron, look at that. Oh, Dad, is that Uncle Aaron's dog? I'm like, nah, it's a prop dog. They're like, well, what happens to that? I was like, I think he hasn't killed after me.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Like, no,
AJ!
No.
I noticed this past Sunday, you were smiling, shaking hands, giving a lot of high fives to the boys on the side. What have you seen in this old footage that has rejuvenated your love? Or is it something else about this 2020 season that seems to have you just in a better headspace?
Why am I having so much fun?
Bingo.
I have just a new and increased love of life. And I've made decisions and changes and habits that put me in a lot better headspace. And there's just a lot of things that have come together in my life over the last few months that have really been enjoyable and reminded me, given me perspective on life and in football to view things through the most positive lens I possibly can. And that's why I'm having so much fun. And it starts with love. And then surround yourself with people that you really enjoy. This show is, to get sentimental, this show is just another step in that, because I love Age so much. And Pat, I have so much respect for you and the boys. Like, this was such a fun opportunity, and now I look forward to this every Tuesday.
I was on a team that was very bad at football. We almost were completely defeated until Dan Orlovsky showed up and got 2 big wins. We ended up almost losing the luck pick because Dan Orlovsky, everybody thinks they're going to get fired. Every player thinks they're going to get cut. Every coach thinks they're going to get fired. They try to pawn blame off on other positional groups. If it's the linebackers, they're like, we did our job. D-line can't do anything, can't stop it. There's a lot of that chatter, but it's a miserable existence. I mean, it's just the way it is. That's why you have to have so much respect for a player like Joe Thomas, who played a perennial all-pro career in a situation that was so negative and so terrible. I think if Joe Thomas got a chance and his knees let him experience a winning organization, I couldn't even fathom what Joe Thomas would have thought. I mean, life is just much better whenever you win. When you win, food tastes better. Drinks taste better. Sex feels better. Everything is better when you win. Winning cures all, they say. That's not just in the building and for a football team. That's in your life. Everything is just better when you win. And when you lose, especially when you're talking about some of the most competitive humans on earth, it is a nightmare. You got a lot of people trying to jump off the ship. You got a lot of people trying to figure it out. And whenever you're in a situation like that, it's just a full-blown nightmare for everybody. You got to think, when you get to the NFL, let's assume that the humans that make it to the NFL have had a lot of success through their lives. High school football, probably one good player, a guy who's going to make the NFL can lead a team to success. In college,
If you have a couple good players that can make the NFL and make it to the Dolphins, even though the Dolphins stink, you're still going to make it to the NFL. Let's assume that team has had success. So then you get to a completely unsuccessful operation, a completely defeated operation, and then it's like, man, this is a whole new life for us. I'll never forget, I had a coach, special teams coach. I won't say his name because this is a terrible thing to say as a coach. We lost the game. It was back in the first regime. We're a good team. We lost the game. And everybody was moping, like people were not happy that we lost the game the next day. He was, you guys just haven't lost enough. That's what he said. Everybody looked at him and was like, yeah, no crap. What are you talking about, dude? Yeah, this is the winningest decade in NFL history here. Yeah, you haven't lost enough. It's like, you've lost too much, maybe. Are you just comfortable at this point? And that's whenever it can get a little scary. Whenever people are just comfortable just getting their asses kicked every week, that could be a problem. That's when the culture is probably a lost cause. That's when the locker room's too worried about playing dice or playing Boo-Ray or anything else like that. When that starts happening after losses, then you know you're in a bad spot. And I would assume that's not happening at the Dolphins, especially under Ryan Fitzpatrick's watch. But maybe it is. I don't know. But that is a miserable existence. I am not a fan of that.
The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about. Yes,
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to that show, hour 2 on this beautiful Wednesday, September 1st, 2021, years after zero will begin right.
Let's go!
Toxic Table is back in studio downtown Indianapolis. I'm still at my house, day 9 in COVID captivity. I am free, manana. I cannot wait. Free at last. Free at last. Oh, fuck COVID. I'll be free at last tomorrow. I cannot wait. At Tone Diggs, the COVID Cowboy, also in studio. We got Mike Rupp, the Rupper, Stanley Cup champion, and also member of the Danbury Trashers, joining us in about 10 to 15 minutes. And in Ohio, in an attic, former member of the Bishop Sycamore football team, an incredible college football national champion and Super Bowl champion. Ladies and gentlemen, AJ Hawk.
What's up, guys? You see me?
I do not see you because Zito has to juggle about 45 different things. I have a shot just strictly on the Toxic Table while I'm speaking. I don't have the live thing because in case Ty or Connor have something to say, I like to keep eyes on them. So if it looks weird when I'm on a single shot, it's because I have no idea what you guys are looking at. I'm looking at other things. AJ Hawk, great to see you. You look fantastic, pal.
How's it going, man? So I heard you a little bit earlier in the show pubbing this documentary. I need to see it now with how much you're talking about it, but you may have raised the expectations too high.
No.
Nope. Nuh-uh.
No. Listen, Netflix is paying us shit. They're not paying us anything. Okay, Netflix, I have zero relationships over there. They love, I assume, people that are much more professional than us. I have never heard anything from the people at Netflix. I know nothing about Netflix. I have watched a lot of Netflix shit. There are things on this show I think I'm pretty real about. Like, hey, that stunk. That was too long. Or this needs to stop. What are we doing? We're wasting fucking time here. This Untold Crime and Penalties here. I watched the Pacer one as well. Fucking awesome.
Ooh, yeah.
This one about the Danbury Trashers, AJ, is right up your fucking... you would love this thing. We got mob bosses. We got fucking hockey. We got 17-year-olds that are fresh out of Ohio and Pittsburgh, it looks like, the way they're dressed. I guess Connecticut and Jersey, same type of thing. This documentary is incredible. We'll be talking to Mike Rupp, the Rupper, Stanley Cup champion, member of the Trasher, here in about 15 minutes. I'm happy you watched it, AJ.
I have not seen it yet. I will definitely watch it, but I hate to tell you, old Rupper's from Cleveland. He's another Ohio guy, so it'll be interesting to see what his perspective was on everything.
That makes a lot of sense, by the way.
Does it?
Yeah, it does. Just like Bishop Sycamore being an Ohio school, it makes sense after watching last night, that old Rupp. And you'll love this. There's like there's a Gumpy in the show.
Big time.
What does that mean exactly?
Trying to figure out the proper words without offending anybody to describe it. There's a guy named
Fidel
Winger.
Castro fan?
No. There's a Gumpy. The guy talks. He's Gumpy, but he just so happens to be a goon on the ice.
Yeah, with AQ.
He's like AQ and Gumpy. We're kind of put together for one person. This documentary is unbelievable. Can't wait to chat with Mike about that in about 10 minutes. Any big news in the NFL world that you saw that kind of piqued your eye, AJ Hawk, that we should talk about here?
I mean, everyone still seems to be talking about Cam Newton. I caught a little bit of Greeny, our guy, this morning on Get Up, and I think Orshlovsky, he made a good point kind of talking about if your backup is unvaccinated and your starter is vaccinated, if your starter gets COVID, that whole situation, then you lose your starter and your backup. Yeah, there's a million different scenarios you could lay out, but who knows what's going to happen with Cam Newton. I don't know where he's going to go.
I think that's the best part of the NFL. Everything is a conversation because it's the biggest league on earth.
Yep.
And the vaccination and the penalties that the NFL has put into place for being, not penalties, by the way, I'm sorry, the protocols that are put into place for the safety of everybody.
Absolutely.
That's right.
By the NFL are definitely something that these players and teams have to think about. Like, Urban Meyer's getting investigated by the NFLPA for discriminating against players that aren't vaccinated, allegedly, because he said something about blah, 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 and Bill Belichick's come out and answered. If you didn't expect teams to be created with the thought of vaccination status as one of the determiners of who makes the team, who doesn't make the team, with all these protocols that are being put in place, I think you're a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Like, the reason...
Of course, it's a business.
Be who you
You're
can
trying to run a
afford to be.
business.
Be who you can afford to be, okay? That is the NFL to a T. Be who you can afford to be. If you're the starting quarterback and you're paid $100 million and you don't want to be vaccinated because of however you feel, and the team is going to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge around that to keep you and everything else. If you're the bottom half of the roster, though, and there's a decision to be made on whether or not, hey, our team's going to be much better without unvaccinated players, which is the protocols are being put into place basically to say that. Like, guys are going to get cut because of that. Like, that is just something that has to be understood. And I appreciate the NFLPA saying, no, you can't do that and going to bat for it and everything like that. But this is pretty obvious, I think, immediately upon these protocols being put in place that these are going to be used and decisions being made, I thought, personally.
I guess everyone probably assumed, they will look at this when they're trying to make their final rosters and you're trying to sign free agents, whoever it may be. But I'm sure they probably thought, like, no one's going to talk about it really, though, can they? And the PA is doing their job. They have to do this, but I don't think do you think anything comes of it, them investigating Urban?
The PA fucking stinks. We all agree with that, but I guess I do appreciate that they are looking into it, because once you look into Urban, though, you're going to have to look into every other decision that's made for everybody that gets cut that isn't vaccinated, and then it's like, how do you determine whether or not that was the sole reason why somebody was made the team or not made the team? And it's
not going to be the sole reason, though. That's what even Urban said. Like, it's never going to be the sole reason someone's going to get cut, but it's definitely going to play. It's going to be a factor. And when you're talking about those bubble guys too, that hey, we don't know. Like, you may be active this week, not active that. There's a lot of guys that kind of sit on that line where they don't know going into each game if they're going to be active, they're going to be playing, or they're going to be one of the guys that doesn't get to dress come game day too. Like that, it all plays into it. So for people to be surprised that it was a factor, I mean, that's just naive, I think.
Well, people are pissed about it.
Yep.
Because it gives them a reason to be pissed off. But I'm happy for us to get through this time and get to the fucking regular season, which is what September means. September means regular season starting. Yeah. And before we talk to Rupper, of the Danbury Trashers and Stanley Cup champion, I had an interesting conversation last night, AJ. I actually called you to talk to you about it. You didn't answer. Called CFO Phil to talk to him about it. He didn't answer.
Jeez, what the hell?
You called like right at, you called around between like 7:30 and 9 something. It's, it's the danger zone in our house. That's when you try to get people to bed and try to get everything situated. So that's probably, I think, when you called.
Yeah, I understand that, but I work. 7:30 to 9 is work time. You know what I mean? 7:30 to 9 is 4:30 LA time. You know what I mean? There's still meetings happening. There's still conversations.
So what do you want to tell me?
By the way, that's the difference between me and, hey, listen, heavy is the head, pal. You know what I mean?
That's
heavy
right.
is the fucking head. Not just the one with the massive jawline, but he who wears the crown, and makes the decisions, has to have these meetings into the night whenever, other people are potentially putting babies to bed and shit. Okay? And that's why we all have to exist. We all have to.
Yeah, there's room for all of us, man. There's room for all of us. So what happened?
So the conversation I had yesterday, and this is not a sports conversation, so I apologize to everybody, but I'm in the middle of a monopoly money type conversation, okay, with a lot of people. We all know where we're at right now, okay? For the farmers that had their farmland before tobacco became a thing, okay?
Sure.
They had all this farmland. It was perfectly soiled and aerated, and they had their seeds, and then tobacco came in, and the farmers were like, holy shit, did we just hit $1 bazillion? Okay, oh my God, we just so happen to have the land that is perfect for this new thing that's about to take over the world. That's kind of where we're at with the sports gambling world. Okay, because I own 100% of this company. We're very lucky to have an incredible platform with people that watch our show because we're the fucking dumbest group of humans on earth. And they just so happen to be probably the demo that sports gambling folks are looking to maybe make a move into. So we are the farmers that are just sitting on this land as tobacco is coming in. Like, hey, you are the luckiest human on earth. You know that. I fucking do know that. But also what that means for you is much different than what that means for me, because I enjoy freedom. I don't really like listening to many people. I will tell you to go fuck yourself. I don't care how much money you give me. So there's a lot, that has gone into this whole thing. Yesterday, I was told that it's going to be tough to believe our numbers. I was told.
But they believe other people that buy their numbers and buy subscribers, and all of a sudden have. Okay. Continue, I'm sorry.
But by the way, this is because zero VCs behind us. Okay, zero big. CFO Phil, I guess, is our big executive.
Whoever's asking, whoever you're talking to, though, if they say it's going to be tough to believe or trust your numbers, they're stupid. Because how do you trust anybody's numbers then if you can't believe yours that are legit?
Everybody's full of shit about their fucking numbers, which is, by the way, why I don't talk about numbers, because I think you sound like an absolute idiot, and those are on the internet. No, especially when there's a draft night and there's 137,500 people watching us, and then I see what your shitty ass show's doing. Okay, so it is tough for me to get into that game, and I don't like doing that. I don't like being the one that just goes out and makes up fake numbers or rigs the system by doing anything else that could potentially spike our numbers and make them look a lot better than they actually are, which a lot of companies do. And I never knock anybody's hustle because, hey, you go get your money. You know what I mean? You go get your money. But now I'm realizing that there may be, and hey, this is reality. Okay, I don't like it, but I was told, hey, your numbers are going to be tough to believe because of where they're at. So I got to figure out how we do that. I think we got to rent an arena, and we just got to sell the fucking thing out.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think that's like a pretty easy way to just be like, how does this fucking look?
Yeah. Take this.
Yes.
So that's what I was calling you last night for, was like, where should we do this? Do we do this in Columbus, for instance? Do we do this in Indiana? Do we do it in Texas? Do we do it in California? I think we should have one big festival that we could potentially go, does this look fucking fake, pal? How do we go about doing this? And I'm not a big live show guy. I don't like hustling money out of our supporters, by the way. I could have done an NFT thing. Everybody, you need to do NFT. You could I don't like taking money from people. I don't enjoy it. If you spend time with us, I appreciate it. But it feels like we should have a festival of some sort to make sure we can showcase to people that these are actual humans watching our show, as opposed to the bullshit that you guys believe is actual money. Your numbers, you know what I mean?
I am in. I'm on board all the way. And if you're doing a live show is not taking money from people, that's giving people something that they can come to. And you're not forcing anyone to come. If they want to buy tickets and show up, that's on them. So it's not like you're giving people a service, I think. So don't you think Indy would be the natural spot, though, for the first one?
Indy would be the place. But this fucking state, I talked to the arena guy down here. They talked to me like I was some fucking stooge. They were talking to me like the fucking, like these people last night were talking to me, basically. You know what I mean? So I wanted to smack them in the mouth real quick.
Is Phil going to call in that? Have Phil call and really throw his weight around.
I'll call in.
Connor,
what are you going to do? You're going to call the guy that runs the arena who basically spit in my face?
Oh, I'm not going to call him. I'm going to put a suit on and I'm going to knock on his front fucking door.
No, see, I don't know where we should do it at, but I think we have to do something. I think we have to do something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's other venues other than just that one.
Lucas Oil.
I don't know. Hey, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. But if we would have to make it a thing, though. You know what I mean? We'd have to make it a thing, like a destination thing. Hey, we need everybody here. This is a situation where my integrity is being called into question, basically. That's, by the way, I feel like I'm a mature adult now because as soon as that was said to me, I didn't tell them to go fuck themselves. I don't believe your numbers. I didn't say back. I just was like, oh, okay, I can understand where that's a little bit of an issue. Hung up the phone and it said, these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So that is, you know what I mean? That is kind of where I was at last night, hoping for some advice, a sounding board, but obviously you don't work all day like I do. CFO Phil also was in the middle of some things, so didn't get a chance to do that. Did a lot of brainstorming on the dry erase board last night. A lot of, oh, fuck this person, for sure. And then we got to do that whole thing. But that's where my life is. And I'm happy I'm coming out of COVID feeling better, but these are the bullshit conversations I got to be a part of and put on my suit, and go, oh, valid point. You're so fucking smart, you fucking asshole. So that's where we're at, AJ, and I wanted to talk to you about it. Thankful we got to have this conversation live on air in front of everybody. Let's assume that we are going to do a live show, though. That feels like the thing we're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Have to.
I'm in.
Because, if we do a theater, anybody can do a theater, right? Well, no. Actually, I don't think that's the case.
You've already proved many times that, hey, guess what? If we do a theater, we're going to sell out the theater very quickly.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Sold out 5 of them. So
Arena.
The people that watch and listen to the show are the fucking best. I hope you know that. So much so that you guys are being called into question as being real humans now. And by the way, it doesn't make any sense to me, pal, why people watch and listen. But joining us now is a man that I got to watch and listen to last night in the greatest documentary I've ever seen. Stanley Cup champ, member of the Danbury Trashers. Ladies and gentlemen, Rupper from Cleveland, Ohio, Mike Rupp.
Yeah! What's up, guys? Glad to be on here. Listen to you guys all the time.
Hey, am I allowed to call you Rupper?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's do it.
I sent you a DM, Rupper, and I thought maybe a little bit too comfortable. You know what I mean? I thought maybe
No, it's good. And you know what? And I know when people don't know me, they say Rupp. They say Rupp. And, no. People that know me, it's Rupper, so we'll keep it that.
Okay, Rupper, I appreciate that. Thank you for watching. I did see you followed along. I have no idea why, just like anybody else. We're getting called into question on whether or not anybody watches us. So it's nice to hear that fucking Stanley Cup champ, Danbury Trasher player, Mike Rupp does watch. That doc, how often did you think about the Danbury Trashers before you filmed that doc? Did you look back on that time in your life and say that was the most insane time forever? This needs to be a documentary. I didn't even know it existed. What a time for you, I bet, to be alive, Rupper.
Yeah, no, it was nuts because one of the things as far as the timeline of it. So I played in their first season, right, and in their second season, and after that season was the last season when things kind of went down. I wasn't on the team then, but I had some buddies. That was some of the greatest. I mean, I have such great memories of playing there. We all got treated like gold, and it was great because us guys would go out after a game, we'd have some beers, and just shooting stories and experiences, right? The things that we were seeing and experiencing. It was incredible. And those guys I stayed in contact with, and they would tell me some of these things that were happening. And then it kind of, everything just went quiet for a real long time. And I think it was ESPN magazine a number of years ago came out and they wanted to do a story about it. But I didn't really know anybody else that was contributing to it. So I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm just going to keep playing hockey and whatever. So when we found out that the Galante family was going to be involved in this and AJ was, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And I thought they did a hell of a job, man. I thought it was really fun. I learned a lot watching it as well, but it was a crazy, crazy time there in Denver.
So let's talk about the smart decision you made not to talk about a mafia situation without, a heads up or an okay from the mafia firm. That's smart. Rupper, that's a very smart thing. And AJ's a big fan of yours. He has not seen the doc yet. He's going to watch it tonight. So he might sound a little ignorant to this entire thing. But whenever I was growing up in Pittsburgh, okay, we have too many Italians. All right, I have friends, too many Italians. Where I was growing up at, DeGiulio, Moraldo. But whenever you would walk into a situation, me as a kid, there was a couple times I walk in, I'm like, oh, okay, so there's some shit going on here. Okay, like there was a bathroom maybe that I was in during a wedding for one of my friends. I was like, okay, probably not supposed to be in a stall, hearing what's going on here. Did you guys know that there was potential full-on mafia stuff going on around you? Did you get the sense like, hey, this feels like something much larger is happening? Or did you guys just say, this is the coolest experience of all time? There's this guy who wants us to fight people. He's paying us bonuses in cash. His kid is a fucking legend. They're giving us everything we want. Or was there conversations like, it feels like there's something maybe happening here that's bigger than what we can see? Did that happen?
We're there to play hockey. That's what we knew. The hockey was surely different. I mean, we're out there, and I think one of the things you notice is you'd sit there and you had, AJ and Jimmy, his father, were up in their box for games, and guys would say, "Hey, Rupper, wait till you see this." Like during the games, we had such a tough team. I mean, there was guys that I could talk to you guys for hours about the build of this team, and AJ did an unbelievable job with it as far as like put together like a really good team, but a tough team. I mean, we had players who, for the fans that are watching that aren't hockey fans per se, there's like an underground fight club in the minor leagues over the years, and we had those guys, and they all had nicknames. There was Brad the Wingnut.
Winger.
Yeah, and then we had Frank the Animal Bialois. We had John Nasty Marasti. I mean,
the Nigerian Nightmare.
We had Roman, the Nigerian Nightmare, Nadur. I mean, these are real things. And if you talk to anybody that's played the game, it's like this minor league heavyweight underground following for these guys. And what would end up happening is when things would go against our team or teams would come in and they do something. One of the stories was, excuse me, Steve Levy with ESPN and Barry Melrose, they owned the Adirondack team. And all the games were getting out of control. And I guess Barry made a comment once, and I talked to Barry about this because I've worked with him since, and we just laugh about it over a beer. It's great. But he made a comment like, this team's being run by Tony Soprano. Jimmy Galante didn't like that, and so what he ended up saying, he was very clear, we're going to let this guy know every time we play that you're not going to talk about us like that. So what ended up happening is, I didn't play every game, so my setup was I only had to play 10 games to play in the playoffs. So I was living at home, in Western PA, and I would just come in and play games. And that was kind of part of it, too. I'd come in, and they'd be like, yeah, we're going to give you a car. What, you want, the Escalade or you want the Ferrari? I'm like, I'll take the Escalade. It's February, and I never go to Ferrari before Connecticut. So anyways, I ended up going in there and whatever. So we would have this stretch where – we would play these, I didn't see everything, I guess is my point. So when we would sit there and we'd go out and we'd have some beers and we were talking, guys would just be like, oh my gosh, hey man, listen to this. Last road trip we were driving and all of a sudden we're on the bus. It's minor leagues, you're on the bus, right? And all of a sudden you hear the lights go on and they're just picking up some dude at a truck stop. And guys are like, waking up and they're like looking and they're like, is that Frank Bialois, the Animal? And they're just picking up these guys didn't know, and they suit them up for one game, and those guys would go and they play, they get in 2-3 fights, get kicked out, sometimes they get expelled from the league in all, and it was crazy. I mean, it was modern slap shot what we were seeing. It was nuts.
Did the owners have more emphasis on winning games or putting on a product like this, having big tough guys that go in there and fight? Could you tell what they wanted?
Yeah, I mean, so what they would do is, and these guys would say it too, is they would sit there. They clearly wanted us to be, and that's a real thing in old school hockey, right? Like back in the 70s, and you got the Broad Street Bullies, and that was a real thing. In today's hockey, it isn't so much. There's some level of it, intimidation and stuff like that, but it's not to the level that it used to be. Well, this was kind of like the first time in a long time it was that. So they wanted that, but they also, this was the lockout year in the NHL. So you had NHL players that didn't have a place to play. So guys were going to Europe to play, guys were finding these different areas. And that's how I came across Danbury. They're giving me an opportunity to come in where I could stay at home, practice on my own at home, and come in and play a few games. I'm like, yeah, this is great. I get to move a little bit and stay fresh so I can come back next season and be ready that I played a little bit. And so anyways, that trickle-down effect, you had NHL players playing in the American Hockey League. You had American Hockey League quality players that are getting pushed down to the East Coast League. And then you're having East Coast quality hockey players getting pushed down to the United Hockey League. So the league was actually really good at that time. It was probably more like a league up, right? Because they had the trickle down effect. So they had a lot of goal scorers on that team as well, but they were certainly tough. And I think one of the biggest things, one of my favorite parts, is some of the tough guys on other teams. Because again, this is in 2004, 2005, where you have tough guy. Teams will have one guy, one heavyweight, two heavyweights. I swear to God, guys, we had fucking 8. and that was not even including the guys we might pick up on the truck stop on the way to the game. They haven't played hockey in 4 years, and they were coming to play their one game. They've been retired. And so what would happen is, like, you know, I play against a guy maybe in the Ontario Hockey League in junior hockey, and I'd play against these guys that were tough guys. They're intimidating. They were bullies out there. Maybe they gave me some whacks over the years, and they were tougher than me. Maybe I didn't, fight those guys. Now all of a sudden we're in warm-ups, and they're stretching at the red line, and I've got 8 teammates over my shoulders that are drooling. They're looking up at Jimmy to see they want to earn their paycheck and go fight this guy. And now the guy won't even make eye contact with us. I'm like, hey, what's up, buddy? Like, a little different now, huh? And like these tough guys, I felt bad for them because they were there and they had a job to do, but the appetite was never going to be full because we had about 8 times more tough guys on our team.
The UHL commissioner is a big part of this documentary. And whenever he was early in the doc, and there's a little bit of a babyface turn for him, I don't want to spoil anything, but early he was talking to AJ or whatever. He's like, hey, listen, 2 fights, 3 fights is fine. 8 fights in one game. That's what these things, AJ, first game in the Danbury Trashers Arena or whatever, first game for this team's existence. Winger, the guy he's talking about, this guy, legend, he's Gumpy and AQ Shipley put into one person, by the way. I love this guy. He said literally, Jimmy Galante, in the doc, you'll see this, before the thing starts, calls him on a cell phone. Somebody gives him a cell phone. This is as like the national anthem's happening or whatever. And he answers it, and he looks up at Jimmy, and Jimmy's like, hey, as soon as this puck's dropped, fucking go ahead and let it eat, kid. So this is the first game of the season, first game of the franchise's existence. They're already getting into beef with this commissioner because the commissioner knows all hell's about to break loose. And before there is even a touch of the puck with a stick, there's already 2 brawls happening for this Trashers team. And the way it was displayed in the doc was just beautiful. Watching it back for you, Rupp, it had to feel good that Jimmy told his kid, hey, get me a fucking goal scorer, and then walks out, and his first thought was like, Mike fucking Rupp. I need Mike Rupp on the team. That had to feel pretty good that a Mafia family's first thought whenever they scored some goals, as opposed to just fight people, was you. That had to feel pretty good.
Well, it's funny because obviously I wasn't a big goal scorer in the NHL, so but at that time. But you got to think though, that's kind of the coolness, and you mentioned it before. Like everything's crazy; it blows your mind how things line up, things that come out. I mean, the thing I was learning from the documentary, even I don't want to tip everything else, is like one of the wiretaps was on the mascot Scrappy. You know what I mean? So the mascot is kind of how they got. It's just nuts. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. But I think that's the crazy part is this. So AJ was a New Jersey Devils fan, right? So he was at Game 7 in 2003 Stanley Cup Finals, and that was the best game of my life. And so he saw that. So in his head, it was etched that I'm a big game player. I'll take it because I wasn't, for the rest of my career pretty much, but. It felt good. I got one story I wanted to share with you guys real quick. This is what's hilarious. It didn't make it in the doc there. I mean, like I said, there's so many hockey stories we could tell for hours. But so I had to, like I said, get in 10 games to qualify for the playoff roster. So I would look on the schedule and I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go a weekend on, a weekend off. So I would fly to wherever they were. And I'd meet the team. So there's a stretch where there's 3 games, 3 nights, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 games. And it was up in Michigan. So I'm like, oh, this is a good way I could bang out 3 games real quick. So I went up there, and the next week was when the team was having the first game against the Adirondack team. Remember, that's the Barry Melrose, Steve Levy team. They called him, he's being run by Tony Soprano, or kind of, they felt poking fun at them. And that was a weekend I was not scheduled to play. So we're traveling after the one game across Michigan. It's probably 1 in the morning. I'm sleeping on the bus, right? So I got my head against the window. My head's back on the seat. The player behind me is leaning forward on his cell phone. So he's talking like basically in my ear, but he's trying to be quiet. Now I'm hearing one side of the conversation. And I'm hearing he says Wags, which ends up being this Wagner kid who was a guy who was banned from some leagues, and he hasn't played hockey in a few years. I knew that about him. But he's like, all I hear is Wags. He goes, Wags, we got this game against Barry Melrose's team. He's been talking a lot of shit. We're going to send a message. Can you play? Can you play next weekend? And I hear him, and he goes, listen, man, I don't give a shit. I know you're running the hunting cabin. He's out in Western Canada. He goes, they don't give a fuck if you can skate. They don't care. They want you to come in here. You got to come in here, and we got to send a message. And I'm hearing this conversation. I'm like, what is going on right now? So the next week, I'm getting ready to go, and I say to the boys before I leave, I go, hey, let me know what happens next weekend. My phone's blowing up, and it starts a brawl. This Wagner is on the ice. He climbs in the other team's bench, grabs the coach by his suit, and starts fighting. He gets banned from life. And that was the stuff I talked to Barry about. Like, it was crazy, man. It's crazy, crazy hockey. It's stuff you wouldn't believe if you heard.
Oh, I love it. I love everything about it. I love hockey. I am the hockey aficionado, but we have a guy that hosts a hockey podcast called That's Hockey Talk. Nick Morado, big fan of yours. Rupper, go ahead, Frank.
Rupper, you talked about these guys and the fighting in the minor leagues and the circuit and everything, but you were no slouch yourself, man. You threw some fists in your time, and you were a part of a lot of rivalries. There's a famous clip of you calling Jody Shelby, noted tough guy himself, pretty irrelevant when you two were on the ice together. Did this ever happen, like when you were in the league in the NHL, where you got a message from a coach or an owner to go out there and send the message to another player with your fists? And then also, second part, sorry, this is long-winded. I know you're from Cleveland. We saw you wearing a Steelers hat.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. I wasn't very happy about that clip, but we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, you never got asked to. You never were put in a position where, hey, I want you to go over the boards and fight. You just you had to know certain circumstances, and there's a lot of things. It's kind of like a chess match of things how hockey fights kind of develop and how they present themselves. In some situations you get put in, you just know, right? If there's a guy who ran your, he was running your skilled guy, then he's out for a shift. And my line's not up, some other line's up, but they asked me to go play left wing on that line, and I'm lined up with them. You don't have to say anything. I kind of know. You're sending me out there to go talk with this guy, right? So, no, it was never, obviously that what happened there in Danbury in the old school hockey, it's fun, it's crazy. That's not hockey now, and it's not like that. I think that's what makes the mystique of it all, is that it's insane. It's old school.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on that changing? Because I think it was Rangers Capitals that big hit happened, and then everybody in hockey knew, like, hey, we're taking a trip back in time with hockey here. These are the unwritten rules. You can't do what you got to do. And the Rangers, I think, knew they were going to get their fucking asses beat, but they had to go fight for their teammate the night before. This was this past season. But it feels like hockey is at the stage where they're trying to eliminate the goons, the fighting as much as possible, even though it's such a storied part of the history of hockey. What are your thoughts on it? It's smart, you think? It's better for the game? Or do you think like hockey is one of the only sports where you're allowed to fight and you're supposed to fight, and that's something we should take a little bit more sanctity in?
It's tough because now I think, you guys well know in football and hockey with these head injuries, it's tough to say that it's a good thing, right? But it's a fabric of the game. And every time I dropped the gloves, I knew I was signing up for it. I knew the risks that were involved. The game has certainly changed a lot. The problem that I see and that I have is it's almost this. It's like, I don't know how to. We always get in arguments about this. The game, first of all, has never been in a healthier place, I think, than it is now. The skill is through the roof. We still have big hits. We still have some fights. Those are all good things. So I love where the game's at right now. The one thing I will say, though, is there's rats in hockey, right? So they're the guys that aren't going to stand up for their actions, and they're going to run around. And think about it this way. And we all know, and we talk about Sidney Crosby all the time. Sidney Crosby's on the other team, right? And you're a player that's trying to make an impact and make a team and make a career out of this. Why aren't you going to run Sidney Crosby? Well, a lot of times it's like you don't because you respect him, and you should. But then a lot of other times, because there's going to be a consequence to that. And does that weed everybody out? No. But it weeds out a lot of people who are going to be a little more brave to hide behind the rules if there was no fighting. You understand what I'm saying? So when there was tough guys out there, I knew if it was a skilled guy, if I was finishing my hit or going to finish a hard hit, I knew I was probably going to have to answer to it. And if I didn't answer to it, there's always going to be a situation, and guys have long memories where we might play them 3 months from now, and when I least expect it, someone's going to jump me. And I thought it weeded out a lot of other shenanigans that didn't necessarily have to be there. I mean, we're skating around with a weapon in our hand, man. You know, like we're allowed to whack each other with a stick. Like fighting is a good deterrent for some guys. And if you got the guts to go out there and still do it, then you're going to have to stand up for yourself. So I think there's a place in the game for it. I think it's certainly relevant in the game, and but man, I love it. I love where the game's at right now.
Rupper, I live in Columbus, so I've seen a decent amount of Columbus Blue Jackets games. I know their head coach Tortorella just signed with ESPN, and there's all kind of YouTube clips of Torts online going off on the media and all different kinds of stuff. Like, are those kind of coaches, those old school coaches, are they still around, or do you think they're going to eventually phase them out, or are we going to continue to have this kind of these colorful characters, I guess, in hockey?
It's tough. I think that now in sports in general, there's not all athletes can handle that type of coach, and I thought John Tortorella, I had him in New York. He was one of the best coaches I had. He gets everything out of every player. Does that mean you like him all the time? No. Torts and I have had some, fuck you matches in his office, but he likes that. He thinks that brings you closer as a group. I got nothing but respect for him and what he brings, because he squeezes the players. And I know as a role player, I wasn't a superstar in the league. I knew that everything that was being asked of me is being asked of our superstars too, and that feels good, right? To know that there's accountability around there. But Torts is a piece of work, and he would sit there all the time. I remember there's a kind of in the hockey world a famous brawl with when I was at the Rangers and we were playing against the Devils in 2012, and that's a big rivalry. And the game was starting, and the home team has to submit the starting lineup, right? And there was riff-raff happening all year when we had our matchup, and so Torts comes walking in the room, and he usually writes up who's the starting lineup on their team and tells us who's starting for us. And he just comes in and he's just motherfucking kicking garbage cans. This bullshit. This is bullshit. And we're like, what's going on? So he writes up, they're starting like a bunch of tough guys on their team. And then he's like, I don't want to do it. I got no choice. He goes, we had Marion Gaborik, who's like a superstar, right? And he goes, I got no choice. I got to respond. What do you want me to do? Put Gabby out there? So he's like kind of shitting on Gabby, and we're like laughing. And he goes, I don't know what to do. He goes, Prusty, Brandon Prust. He goes, Prusty, you play right wing. Rupper, left wing. He goes, Stu Bickle, play center. Stu Bickle's a defenseman. That'd be like equivalent to like, bringing putting your lineman out and having playing receiver for a play. And so he says that, and he's like, I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to put you in harm's way, but I got to do this. Walks out, slams the door. So then all of us three come up, and we're like, how do we want to handle this? And, that Stu Bickle, the defenseman, goes, how do I take a draw? Like, I've never taken a face-off. I'm like, Stu, you're not out here to win the fucking face-off. You know what I mean? Like, we're out there to respond with what they're going to do. And we started and had a 3-on-3 brawl at MSG. And still to this day, I've never been in a louder arena in my life than at that moment. So, yes, time has changed. This type of stuff's gone. That's why this documentary and that type of hockey, it's fun to revisit and go back to. It's changed. But one thing's for certain, everybody, and there is a big niche for it in hockey. There's a lot of fans who get on their feet. Everybody gets on their feet when there's a fight in the NHL arena.
Yeah. Yes, not everybody. I guess there are people on the internet that don't get happy about it. But man, that gladiator feel, knowing like, hey, you just did something you weren't supposed to do, pal. And when you get out onto the ice again, it feels like one of our guys is going to fucking murder you for it. And it's like that comeuppance is so. I thought it was just a cool part of hockey. I was lucky to grow up in Pittsburgh, obviously hockey Dahn. So I just. It's crazy the way the game has changed, but obviously it's for the betterment of everybody's health. But there's just something to, like society taking care of their own problems. And that's kind of what hockey was. Hockey was always like, hey, we'll handle it. And then the refs, with the, hey, I have to get one early on this team because a makeup call, like that's just a part of it. Like hockey has so many cool unwritten rules that inevitably will all get exposed because that's the world we live in now. At Boston Connor's got a question for you, and then we'll let you go. Rupper, we can't thank you enough for your time. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Rupper, you said you only played 10 games from the regular season before the playoffs, but was T-Bone the greatest equipment manager that you ever had? And did he do the most to help you guys win?
A lot of that stuff was new to me too. I didn't know he was stealing goalie pads, and and I didn't know he was stealing opposing teams' equipment and stuff like that. I knew he was cutting off the hot water, but he was funny. That guy would come in there. He was a clown, like just be saying crazy stuff, and the thing that was there. And again, I was there to play hockey. These guys were there to play hockey. We would joke around about, oh my gosh, like what are we doing here? We're just starting brawls every night. It was fun. It's not an appetite for everybody, but everybody's having fun. So we'd sit there and we'd like joke around, but the camaraderie that we had, I mean, you see it there, and I don't want to tip it, but you saw it at the end of the documentary. I won't give it all, but Pat, you've seen it. I don't care who you are, that's a moving moment. Like, right? Like the owner of the team had the back of the player, and the player had the back of the owner, and there's just something to it, and you can put everything else aside. T-Bone was that too. He'd come in, he'd be bear hugging you, giving you a shot, and you guys have been in rooms, you know how that is. That camaraderie, it's irreplaceable. You get on the bus or you get on the plane or after the game, you're all sitting around. I got 2 plugs up my nose because I got punched in the nose, and someone's got a shiner. We're all ice bagging it up, telling stories about the situations. Those teams grow closer, and those teams, I think, have a great chance of winning eventually.
That camaraderie is the X factor that you can't measure, and great teams are looking for. And it looks like AJ Galante and Dad Galante were able just to be able to create that in such a quick time. It's unbelievable. It's definitely illegal because the amount of money they're paying everybody, I guess. But I fucking loved it. I love you too, man. Thank you so much for coming on. We need you on more if that's possible.
Yeah, anytime, guys. I love watching what you guys are doing. And AJ, man, big Ohio State fan. So great meeting you as well.
Hey, OH!
Yeah, I.O.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I didn't talk about my Steelers hat. I'm going to tell you that real quick because I wasn't happy about that. I'm sorry, Pat, but I'm a Browns fan. I'm a Browns fan through and through. What ended up happening, though, is the Browns we haven't had much to root for, right? Mm-hmm. So I've always been like a casual Steelers fan in the meantime. But anytime they were head-to-head, it was always the Browns. And my buddies all in Cleveland are like, that's bullshit, man. What are you talking about? So when I was playing in Pittsburgh, though, like, for example, the Steelers were playing the Browns, in Heinz Field. I went to a tailgate. I wore my Peyton Hillis jersey when I was playing for the Penguins. And I go to this tailgate, and I start getting some food. And I start hearing, who let this asshole in? Everyone started, like, trying to fight me. And I'm, like, sitting there, I'm looking, I'm like, hey, man, I'm just getting some food, And then all of a sudden someone's like, whoa, you play for the Pens, don't you? And I'm like, yeah, like Mike Rupp. And then I'm like, oh, I'm cool now? You guys are going to beat my ass about 2 seconds ago, And so I've always represented Cleveland, but I when I don't have anything to root for, I was rooting for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So take that as you want. I know that doesn't make sense to many.
Browns fans aren't going to like you. I mean,
they won't. But hey,
Pittsburgh,
this year the Browns will do something special. They'll forgive me.
I don't think they'll ever forget. Ladies and gentlemen, Stanley Cup champ, member of the Danbury Trashers, Mike Rupp. Thank you, Rupp.
Thanks, guys.
That guy's fucking cool, huh?
Yeah.
He's great, man. Most hockey guys are awesome, but yeah, they do probably have the best stories out of all professional athletes. Like hockey guys, for some reason, just have wild stories.
And they never talk normally. Hockey is like one of those places where one of the unwritten rules is the team's better than you are. You shut up. The sport doesn't deserve you to be talking about it at all. They're always very quiet. They say nothing, but then you have a couple of drinks with a couple of them, and you realize, oh, these guys are fucking psychopaths.
Yeah.
Like these dudes. Yeah. These dudes are incredible drinkers, incredible
savages.
partiers.
All of them savages. Yeah.
Just complete savages. And then they get in front of a thing. It's like, oh, we played pretty good today,
Yeah.
Time or whatever, and then as soon as that camera's off, they're like fucking bonging beers, and it's like, all right, hockey is awesome. Let's get to a break. That was so cool.
Yeah, he's a weapon.
I guess he is like a fan, though. He watches a lot of our shit. Nick told me that. Nick sent me a text. He was like, hey, Rupper, big fan. He was in your Twitter spaces last week. He watches the show. He follows along. And I was like, my dude. So I sent him a DM. Literally, Rupper, all capital letters, this guy and I. And he goes, what's up, big man? And I was like, my guy. Here we go. I just saw you on a documentary. My favorite of all time. Is there any way you can talk? You made time for us. Big thanks to Rupper and to hockey. I wish the Danbury Trashers would come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today.
Maybe
the guy's out of jail, right? Isn't the guy alive?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't snitch or rat on nobody. That was the big thing. Like, hey, Jimmy Galante ain't no fucking snitch. He ain't no bitch. He did his time like a man, and he came back on the other side. This guy, AJ, didn't know he existed. Maybe my favorite Italian. He actually won Italian American of the Year.
Yep. Who gave him that award?
Fucking all the Italians, dude.
Coach Diggs.
Coach Diggs, yeah.
I'd give it to him again.
Coach Diggs.
All right, we're back in 4 minutes with some phone calls. AJ, I appreciate you kind of cutting through that because you haven't seen the doc yet. A lot of people haven't. But when you watch it, you'll appreciate that conversation with Rupper even more because they're absolute icon legend. Can't wait to chat with him again. We're back in 4 minutes on this Wednesday, September 1st, 2021.
Throughout my entire life, whether it was driving me to practice, to go to work, the coaches that invested hours in me, everything I have done to get to this point. I got a whole town, a community, a family, a tribe of people watching me potentially live out my dreams that we all thought was going to happen. And when I get to Rock, I get a chance to carry 8 motherfuckers that are playing for a team that is in the city that I went to college in. I carry 8 people, have the biggest moment in my football career, maybe make a team, if not with the coach somewhere else. Hey, that guy's got juice, let's do it. Change the entire direction in the course of my family's life. I can't be excited though.
No.
Don't even think
Don't
about
you fucking dare.
Are you kidding me? All that just happened and everything I just said there and more is potentially happening in that one play? Don't even fucking think it. Get your fucking ass back in the huddle. You know Barry Sanders? Hey, Barry Sanders, he'd score a touchdown and he would just hand it to the ref and he was gone. Why don't I? Well, Barry Sanders also won the Heisman, right?
Yeah.
It was also like the all-time leading scorer in this whole thing. Barry Sanders was unbelievable, worked his ass off. Let's not get crazy. And Barry Sanders had the ability to act like he had been there before because Barry Sanders, by the way, had fucking been there before. And maybe Barry Sanders, the way he goes about business isn't how everybody goes about business. Maybe there's a lot of different stories, a lot of different situations, a lot of different life events that lead to somebody acting differently than somebody that just acted, almost robotic while being one of the most exciting and electric players in the history. Got nothing but love for Barry Sanders. Let's not get crazy. But there's a lot of people tweeting, act like you've been there before. It's like, you think this motherfucker's been there before?
He hasn't.
This dude just carried 8 people and maybe changed the entire life. He can't be excited. Aren't we a game of emotion? Aren't we a game of excitement? Why is this a fucking penalty? Hey, Goodell! Hey, eating your M&Ms, sitting on the chair, being cool. You became my commissioner. You weren't my commissioner when, hey, you dance, you're fucking out. Your socks slide, you're fucking out. We don't want anything. We want robots, no emotion. Everybody hated you then, Raj. All right, everybody hated you. And nobody understood why you're trying to take the fun out of the game. You're doing it because you want to be able to just pluck and play. You didn't want to have players be brand names because then you could replace them easily. Okay, I understand the business side of it, but we all agreed, the tribe has spoken, that the game's better when people are excited. Some things are too much. All right, some things are way too much. There were some dances that happened that looked a little bit more like basketball, where we're all like, there's no way that can happen with a full line dance. We get it, there was some. But it added to the game. The excitement added to everything. Now taking away this and making it a point of emphasis. And I'm not saying that there should be egregious, if something egregious happens, they should penalize them. Yes, please. It's not for the good of our game, not for the good of the league, not good for fans, not good for anybody. I understand that's going to happen, but a point of emphasis means, hey, we're cracking down on this because we don't want it to happen anymore. And why are we targeting that as opposed to targeting something else I'll never understand? My commissioner, Roger Goodell, is going to get to the bottom of this if Sam Acho doesn't do it first.
Yeah.
Say football for me.
Football.
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 Football. Football.
I play football. I play football. I play football. I play football.
The Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio, Channel 82.
Welcome back to that show. Here we are, Wednesday, September 1st, 2021 years after zero. This song's an absolute banger. AJ Hawk live in his attic in Ohio. Can't thank you enough for watching, listening, wherever the hell you may be. Hour 2 wrapping up here. Let's head to the 5-Hour Energy phone lines. Nick Moraldo, could you please put on somebody that is worthy of a conversation, sir?
Yeah, I think he might have just thrown up in his mouth.
We got Dave in Arizona.
Does he hate all the callers that much?
What's that, buddy?
Did it take him so long because he hates all of them that much?
No, I think because he's got a bunch of other shit going on. I mean, Jay's getting ready for his wedding and needs a bunch of days for that, I guess. So Zito's running the audio and Nick's. I mean, there's a lot going on in the back.
Boys. Sorry, boys. Hopefully I don't add to your list of what you need to do.
Shut the hell up, Hawk.
There he is.
Got him.
He can't trash me too much. He's too busy today.
Yeah, he's very busy. He's working, which is good news. Appreciate Frank for doing that. But Dave in Arizona, what's going on, dude?
Yeah, what's going on, Paige? So, I want to tell you, it takes forever to get through your line. I never called, but holy shit, it takes you 3 hours to get.
They're fake numbers, though.
Mike from the OC's got 4 open lines at all times trying to bang through, so he can't get through the goddamn line. But anyway, we're talking about the Galantes. We grew up in Fort Greene, Brooklyn. We had a whole house of them next to us. And we never knew, they never wanted us to, play with them. They said, don't go over there, you'll die. And I don't know what the fuck, I don't know what she meant by you'll die by going over there. We're just kids. I grew up alone in elementary school because I just thought the fact you talk to people, somebody's going to die. I didn't even know what you were saying.
All right, thanks, Dave in Arizona. I do like that the fear of God was put into Dave's life there in Brooklyn. Like, hey, don't go talk to the Galantes, you'll fucking die. And he said it changed his life forever. He became a loner, AJ. That's the type of thing that when you're a parent, you got to be worried about everything you say to your kid. I don't know how you do it with 10 of them, AJ.
Oh, yeah. Every decision you make, everything I say, you're like, well, this could be the thing that really gives them years and years of therapy and counseling their whole life.
It's so funny to think about when you grew up around Italians, though. Like the conversations that actually have to happen. Like, hey, whenever you go over to blah, 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 remember, just mind your business.
Head down.
Like, just mind your, don't get caught up in any conversations. Hey, what was that scar from old Uncle Bluz from his ear all the way to his fucking shoulder? What was that? He slipped and fell or whatever. It's like, sure seems like somebody tried to behead him. No. He slipped and fell. So what are you asking so many fucking questions? Yeah, you're right. It is something. And I guess someday there'll probably be at least one 30 for 30 on just Italians in general. But sure. I don't know if you guys are ever going to stop doing what you do, Diggs. You think?
I would hope not. The fucking police and the goddamn federal agencies try to put a stop to it, but it ain't gonna happen.
To be clear, I thought their case on Jimmy Galante was not as sound as everybody was making.
It was weak. It's why he only did 8 years.
What did he go to prison for?
Intimidation, racketeering.
Yeah. The normal
extortion.
Yeah, the normal.
The extortion. The mascot.
Money laundering.
Hey, the mascot
played
no games, dude. Okay, the guy Scrappy who could barely ice skate.
So Scrappy worked for the government, though. Scrappy was wearing a wire.
No,
he got his shit tapped, and he was very vocal about what was going on. It seemed like Scrappy wasn't just the mascot on the ice; he was also potentially the Galante mascot in real life as well. He was the one who they sent out there to do stuff. But they showed Scrappy in this trash, in this dumpster, in this trash can skating on the ice, and then they were running one of the wiretaps phone calls that they had. And, the Scrappy, the trash can, was so happy. And then the things that were being said in the wiretap, you motherfucking cocksucker, you get out of this fucking city. It was It was the best. This documentary is so fucking good.
All
It
time.
seems like it's a fairy tale, like it's a made-up story. It is so good. We'll try not to have it be the only topic of conversation in hour 3. We will try not to. TJ Hawkinson will join us, tight end for the Detroit Lions. Was a Pro Bowler last year, an absolute superstar. He was supposed to join us in the first hour, had a team meeting. I'll be excited to hear what MCDC has laid out to the squad. We'll take more phone calls and talk about some more news. Joe Hayden is allegedly stopped contract extension conversations with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He just tweeted hashtag last dance.
Ooh.
Okay, so I think this is him stating this is the last year with the Steelers before he tests free agency to make some more money. Who knows how everything pans out? There's a lot of time before now and then, but the drama of the NFL will never, ever end. We will continue to talk about it. Hour 3 is on the other side of this 6-minute break. We can't thank you enough for rocking with us. We'll see you then. Kickoff in that Super Bowl you're referring to with the Colts. Hester takes to the crib. You having a little bit of a heart attack there?
Very bad decision, Pat, on my part. All week up in Indy, we're practicing, and we know he's their number one threat. They don't have a lot of offensive weaponry. They win with defense and special team. So for the whole week, we're in Indy. We're not going to let him touch the ball. We practice squibbing to the corners, bouncing the ball, high kick, pop-up kickoff, punt it out of bounds. Everything to not let him touch the ball. We have a chapel service, and the chaplain talks about David and Goliath, and he says, hey, the reason David beat Goliath, he wasn't afraid. Everybody else was afraid. David ran right at him, threw it right between the eyes, and it was over. And I started thinking, we're acting like we're afraid of Devin Hester. So I told the team on Saturday night, I hope we lose the toss. We're going to kick off. We're going to kick it right down the middle. When we pound him, they'll know we mean business. David and Goliath, it's going to be over. We kicked it to him. 12 seconds later, he's in the other end of the sideline looking at me saying, what idiot decided to kick the ball to Devin Hester? But fortunately, the last 59 minutes, the team made up for it.
Wait until they see the tone we set on the opening kickoff.
Yeah, that was it.
I bet you Vinatieri was sitting there.
I don't know if that's such a good idea.
Did you hear everything that was being said whenever you were potentially?
Just from you.
Oh, so you did hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's address it.
Hold on.
All right.
You can be a hater.
No.
And you can
Whoa.
change.
Carson.
You can change. We can change.
No,
your opinion.
at the moment I was at, okay, Carson. You know, with the Daily Show, the live Daily Show, you know, we can potentially get referred to as prisoners of the moment. You probably did hear me say some things. That was at a much different time.
You can backtrack with it.
No,
it's cool. We're here face to face. You can change. People change, all right?
By the way, you are much bigger than I thought you were. Oh, yeah. When Jalen gets drafted there, was that the beginning of it all? Was there a miscommunication? What happened between you and Doug? Because they were saying it was fractured beyond repair.
Yeah.
What happened there? Is all of that accurate? Is that all kind of getting blown out of proportion?
Yeah.
And where did it start?
For one, I don't like to ever come out and say reporters aren't telling the truth because I don't. But
Orlovsky does it.
I'm not. I'm not going to dispute every report that's out there. The way the season went obviously wasn't ideal. When Jalen was drafted, that had no bearing on me. I trusted the organization. Okay. I signed that contract. I was devoted to them, and I felt like they were devoted to me. So I trusted the pick. That had no bearing on my confidence or my abilities. The season unfolded not how I would have liked it. Personally, I could have played better. We lost a lot of games at the end and just didn't fall into place the way we wanted. But there's a lot to learn from it, as a man, as a player, and all those things. And I have still a lot of respect for Coach Peterson, and I think without a doubt those reports are very exaggerated. Like I said, I don't hear a lot of them. They come to my attention from my agents or different things.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of respect for him, and it was unfortunate for everybody and how the whole thing kind of just went down.
There was a couple still shots that made its way around where you and Doug Peterson appeared to be giving each other a nasty look.
I saw those.
It's not true.
Not true at all.
Oh, you were not saying, I wish you died.
I don't even think I was looking at him in those shots. So I did see that. I'm like, of course, they're going to play this one up. gonna make a story out of anything. That's how it is. So, but yeah, that's not true at all.
Okay, so I'm happy to hear you weren't giving Doug Peterson death looks. Like, you never thought, like, oh, football isn't for me. Like, there was never a thought where I don't like football anymore. Or I don't want to be in this bullshit league anymore with this business. There was never a thought like that.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. The way the season went, I mean, it was frustrating. And
People
so
have those
that's why I stepped away, and it almost rejuvenated me. You know, it's almost like last year pissed me off so much. I want to come back in a different way and do everything I can. I am thrilled to be here and to have this new start, new opportunity. And the community seems amazing. The fan base seems amazing. Like we said, it seems like the perfect fit.
First things first, 50 yards, trash can, drop into the bucket, accuracy contest. Apple, set, go. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, you got it.
All right, let's see how easy it is to catch now with the boys.
Time maybe to play down low.
All right, so you can throw the shit out of it and catch it. I think the XFL ball gets a big pass. By the way, I hit some bombs with it as well.
Todd.
The Pat McAfee Show.
There'll be no rules for our guests, for us, for the things we can talk about. Yes,
Speaking his mind.
I've never had a problem expressing my opinions or my thoughts or anything like that.
While being relatable.
I haven't had that manufactured fake-ass celebrity that a lot of people have whenever they go on those big networks. I've had a chance to really build my crew, build my following, build my audience.
And ridiculous.
What am I supposed to do? So I'm supposed to look at something that I can definitely afford and say, nah. Is that what I'm supposed to do?
The Pat McAfee Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. Hour 3 on this Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. We'll begin immediately following this beat drop from a great musician named Twine. Yeah! There it goes, and we're off. Hour 3 should be fantastic. Last hour we had the Rupper, Mike Rupp, formerly of the Devils and the Pens and numerous other NHL teams, Stanley Cup champion, but we talked to him about his time as a Danbury trasher due to the Untold Crime and Penalties documentary that was released, I believe, yesterday on the Netflix. It is amazing. We will not spend this entire hour chatting about that because there's a lot going on around the NFL. At AJ Hawk is our official AJ Hawk. He's joining us from his attic in Ohio. AJ, the Green Bay Packers New Orleans Saints opening game will be played in Jacksonville due to Hurricane Ida coming through New Orleans. We hope everybody is okay, obviously. T's and P's on a quick recovery. This sounds like an absolute nightmare. The Saints will play down there. Gunther Kuntz was asked about it. He said he was informed this morning that the week 1 will be in Jacksonville. I don't think we had a whole lot to say in this, says Gunther Kuntz, good self-awareness, and then says, would have loved to have it here, though. That would have been nice. An extra home game obviously would have been fantastic. Instead, they're in Jacksonville. The thought was maybe in Dallas, then maybe in Houston. They're practicing at TCU. They'll play in Jacksonville, obviously making it do however they can. The Saints have a lot of drama, a lot of things, a lot of adversity. Now they're playing in Jacksonville against the Packers. Your thoughts, AJ Hawk?
Well, at least competitively, this is good for the Packers. I mean, there's some players, if you think about it, on both sides. If you're the Packers, you go into an away game. There's guys in the NFL that haven't played with a crowd noise, with legit crowds yet, if you were a rookie last year during COVID. So I think for the opposing offenses, and if you haven't had to face that, yeah, of course you work on it in practice and everything. It'd be their first time in a game really not being able to hear themselves, especially on third downs down in the dome. You know how loud it gets down there.
Yeah, who that? Yeah. Who that said they're
So-
going to beat them Saints? Those Cajuns get drunk and lose their mind inside of that Caesars Sportsbook Superdome. I mean, that is a very difficult place to play. Whenever they get back in there, hopefully it'll be the same exact environment and everything, and maybe they'll make the trip to Jacksonville. How long is that drive? Do we have any idea how far that drive is?
I'll look it up.
You think they're driving to Jacksonville?
What's that, buddy?
Fans.
You think the Saints are going to drive there? Well, where are they right now again? TCU?
Yeah, I'm talking about fans. I'm talking about fans, just because, like, the Saints fans are a weapon. Like, they're an actual weapon. And I assume that they get first crack at tickets in Jacksonville.
Yeah, if you already have a ticket to the opener, you probably just can use that already for the
8.5 hours.
8.5 hours.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of them were displaced, though, and had to evacuate.
True.
Are you really going to be able to drive to a game 8.5 hours away?
Let's assume there's buses. I don't know. Saints fans, they will find a way. I mean, Saints fans will find a way. They are a great fan base. Big shout out, by the way, to Urban Meyer and the Cons.
Shout out.
And hey, you can use our stadium. Now, it makes sense schedule logistic-wise that Jacksonville doesn't need their stadium or whatever. And I think there's only 2 home games in the first 7 weeks for the Saints. Is that accurate?
I believe so, yeah.
So this is one of those things where the team's going to have to deal with it while you're trying to build the team. You're on the road, training in TCU, playing elsewhere. It's not easy to win a game in the NFL, let alone whenever you have to deal with all that. But there's a much bigger picture here with Hurricane Ida. I hope everybody's okay. Joe Hayden. Go ahead.
Are we having hold on? What time is TJ coming on? 05 or later?
I don't know. Zito was
15,
getting
I believe.
Okay.
To what?
2:15.
Okay, perfect. Can't wait to chat with him. But I'm sorry. Did you want to talk to?
Oh
TJ
no, you were
Hawkins?
good. You were setting up your Joe Hayden. I was going to say something else, but yeah, I know Joe Hayden. Don't the Steelers say though they don't negotiate during the season? Isn't this kind of normal for them? But even though has TJ signed? TJ hasn't signed yet.
Everybody says that they don't negotiate until they have to negotiate. You know, like every single situation is different. And I think that is something that just needs to be understood. Okay, not everybody's going to be treated the same. There's going to be situations that happen where you maybe even as a business leverage standpoint with another player, we don't talk during the season, but then a year later you say, Joe Hayden just negotiated a deal in the middle of the season. Well, that's because it's fucking Joe Hayden and you're not Joe Hayden. Okay, and TJ Watt. So who knows how this whole thing will work out, but it feels as if Joe Hayden is very loud right now saying that there is no conversation that is going to happen. I'm going to hit free agency. This is my last year as a Pittsburgh Steeler. At Tone Diggs, Adam Schefter says, after approaching the Steelers about an extension to finish his career in Pittsburgh, Pro Bowl cornerback Joe Hayden has decided to play out his contract and test free agency market in 2022 when the cap is expected to increase significantly per his agent, Drew Rosenhaus. So that's pretty good information straight to Schefter from Rosenhaus, it sounds like. Diggs, your thoughts on this thing? There's a lot of contracts. Whenever you're a good team, there's a lot of money that has to go around. The Steelers might end up losing a couple of their key parts. You think that's going to be the case, or are they going to get it figured out over there?
I think it's okay. I think it makes sense for both sides here to let Joe go to free agency and test the market and potentially see what he's going to get as a 33-year-old corner. They want to pay TJ and Minka first, so they want to see how much money they're going to have going into next season when they do have a bunch of cap space and the cap's going up. I love Joe Hayden. You guys know, 33 years old as a corner in the NFL. I think the Steelers are doing an okay thing here for him to go to free agency and see what he can get. And if not, and he wants to come back, that's fine too.
Joe Hayden said to us last week or 2 weeks ago, when I'm no longer a guy that they can put on the outside, I'll be done. So Joe Hayden believes he's still got a lot of time left. Another contract is obviously a beautiful thing, especially as a corner at the age of 33. Hopefully they'll be able to get that figured out. I was told the TJ Watt deal was going to be done last week.
Yeah.
I'd be
That's
shocked.
what they told us.
I'd be shocked if it doesn't get done before this season. It's going to get done.
Yeah, but the only thing that's telling you that is the same shit that told us it was going to be done last week, right, Diggs?
No, they're not going to let him get out. They're not going to let him go into free agency, or he's going to get signed.
Yeah, they can franchise tag him still. I
Yeah.
mean, there's a way that they could keep him around. If they get the deal done with him, though, that's a pretty good stamp of, not that the Steelers have to prove this to anybody, but, hey, you perform, we'll take care of you, which is what every team is hoping to look like whenever they're talking to free agents and everything like that. Joe Hayden being this open about it, though, you think Joe's pissed at the Steelers right now, AJ?
I think so. I mean, he talks about how much he liked Tomlin when he was on the show with us and everything that they're doing there, and he's still playing at a high level, but you can't completely write him off from being on the Steelers. Like, he could easily go out there, check out free agency, see what it has to offer, realize, like, hey, there's not the situations I thought out there, and come back to the Steelers. They could still step up to the plate if they have some cap room once it goes up next year and say, hey, we can give you a 2 or 3 year deal. We can give you what you want, or at least close to what you want.
That's a year from now, and we have to talk about it because there ain't shit to talk about.
Yep.
Well, I think it was
But he
Diggs.
could, though. He
Diggs
could,
brought up too that like since he's got there, the Steelers have gotten back up into the top 10, and obviously like the sum is greater than like a single guy on defense. But I'm sure he, uses that as a bargaining chip and takes a lot of pride in that. It's like, hey, we've been back to the Steelers defense of the past since I got here every year, and I've done nothing but continue to perform for you guys.
And Minka and TJ are going to reap the benefits of that before anybody else, it seems like, right?
Yeah.
As soon as Minka gets there, he becomes defensive MVP conversation fresh out of Miami or whatever, and he starts dominating. He got into a fight with Chase Claypool. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago?
2 days ago, I believe.
Boys are fired up over there.
Hell yeah.
Any video? Is there any video or even still shots of this one?
No.
We have no videos of any of these fights, huh?
Yeah, it feels like the videos are done at training
These
camp.
teams,
They're not letting
these
the
teams
media
know what
do
they're
it.
doing, shutting these videos down, don't
Yeah.
they?
Well, it's smart, by the way, for future
agree.
reference. I think that you should let nothing out. I think.
Well, the
you should
NFL, think about it. You think our commissioner, Pat, wants guys punching each other in the head, sometimes bare fist on helmets, when all we do is talk about safety and player safety, and they say like, "Oh, we can't play in pads anymore." Like, well, then why are you guys punching each other in the head every other day in training camp?
Yeah, and why are you allowing joint training camps then? Why are you even allowing that? Because it seems like those are just a recipe for a brawl. They're the Danbury Trashers.
Yeah.
Joint training camps are the Trashers. That's exactly what
Hey,
they
remember
are.
a couple years ago when LaFleur came into Green Bay? I don't know what team it was they had a joint practice with. Aaron had some public comments afterwards because I believe the first play of the scrimmage, the first play of like team they did, their tight end got blasted over the middle and got hurt and kind of started a little brawl already.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it isn't a brawl every single time. And it has become that, by the way, every single time. I wonder how long those joint training camp practice, because you got teams fighting each other because they're sick of running into each other. You got Minka and Chase Claypool, two very important pieces of the Steelers fighting each other. That's what football is. There's a chance that, when you run your face into people or somebody feels a little disrespected with a shot, like, oh, my career could be changed, my livelihood could be changed, there's a chance a fight comes. Whenever you start adding in the other team, and I don't want to take a step backwards because we're past training camp, but I still don't know how joint training camp practices don't end in a brawl every single time. Let's move on. Fitzmagic is officially the starting quarterback for the Washington football team. I saw that this was actual news. We didn't know.
Was it really a competition?
I mean, Heineke got a pretty nice little contract, and Heineke balls. Actually, today was due to the 8-yard touchdown run he had against the Bucks. That play came back into the timeline, and I'll tell you what, when I saw him diving that ball to the pylon, it was hard not to think, well, maybe Heineke, he could do it. But yeah, to your point, it was always assumed Fitzmagic was going to be the guy over there.
Well, Heineke got a nice contract, but so did Fitz.
Yes, he did.
Much bigger, actually.
That's an awesome thing that always gets left out of those conversations. They paid Heineke. What they pay him for if they don't want him to be the guy? Well, it's like, did they pay fucking Fitz more or not? Yeah, they did. Okay, so they want him to be the guy more, and he's Fitzmagic, and he's basically an adult version of Heineke? Okay, so you don't think that's going to be the way it is? I just love whenever some of this shit gets brought, like, somebody did not see this one coming. It's like, we didn't? I thought that was pretty much so you got
It would be
Fitzmagic
it would
on
be
the team?
big news if we found out Ryan Fitzpatrick was not the starter in Washington. That would be news.
That would be huge news. And Fitzmagic told us what? Beggars can't be choosers. He'll go fucking wherever. He ended up on a great team in Washington. That squad could go on quite a run over there in the NFC East, which has massive question marks. The Ravens have converted $6.5 million of Ronnie Stanley's salary into a signing bonus to create $5.2 million. Offensive lineman Ronnie Stanley's base salary, $6.5 million of it was moved into a signing bonus, creating $5.2 million in cap space for 2021. Mike Evans and the Buccaneers did this just yesterday. I think whenever you're trying to piece together your roster, you're realizing we might have to bring in somebody from outside who might be worth a little bit more money as opposed to just the bare minimum that we were able to get by with, creating more room for the roster. This is smart. This is the future. Everybody's going to be doing this. This just seems the inevitable that there's going to be salary cap gymnastics done every single year from this point forward.
Well, I mean, this has kind of been going on for a while, hasn't it? I guess it just happens more often now, and it's higher profile. I guess it's bigger money being moved around.
Yeah.
So is that why it's talked about more, or was this always happening? People didn't talk about it as much. What is it?
I don't think it was happening. I think Tom Brady did it with the Patriots for a long time, but everybody said, "Oh, Tom Brady, what a hero!" Instead of getting $20 million in
Didn't Big
salary,
Ben do it too?
Last year.
That was this year.
This
that was
year,
not
excuse
in the
me.
past.
Yeah, I guess.
Ben's done a
Tom
good
Brady,
past.
Tom Brady was doing it in New England, though. Has been for a long time,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
They're always like, "Oh, he's taking a pay cut to remain there. He's taking a pay cut to remain there." And it wasn't really a pay cut as much as it was of transferring of money and moving the money. Now teams have seen not only that work, but they're doing it with a lot of different players, the way they're setting up their contracts. It feels like it's only a matter of time before everybody's doing this. And this feels like the future. Mike Greenberg down there in Tampa feels like he is the future of how NFL teams are going to be put together and created. They're going to have to do a lot of movement and salary cap gymnasty to make sure they can fit all their superstar players. Joining us now is a superstar player. We thought maybe he was going to be the kicker for the Lions just yesterday, but now they have signed Austin Seibert. Ladies and gentlemen, Pro Bowl tight end legend for the Detroit Lions, TJ Hawkins.
What's up, y'all?
Hey, I want to let you know I'm a big fan of the way you operate, pal. Feels like you're like one of these like hippie, feel-good ass kickers on the field. It's a beautiful thing, TJ.
I appreciate that. You know, I like to portray that for sure.
How is it feels like MCDC is a pretty similar character to you. Do you and him get along pretty well? I assume that he's much deeper and has more depth to him than what everybody assumes and imagines from his kneecap biting press conference.
That's my guy. He's got a lot of energy. He's always on the field. He's got a knee sleeve on right now. I think that's his swag that he's been rolling with. But you know, you got to give him a little shit with that. But he's a good dude. He knows his stuff. He's got us going in the right direction. You know, and pushing us every day, honestly. So it's been fun.
Have you noticed a change? Because obviously a lot of the coaches have played in the league, so it's a lot of players that are over there coaching, trying to change the culture completely. I mean, buying into Detroit. Has it been very obvious that MCDC and the boys are trying to change the building in a positive fashion? Has it been like, yeah, a lot more chatter outside the building than actually inside of it about it?
No, it's honestly there's been a complete 180 in that sense. You know, a lot of the coaches are players, like you said, old players, you know, that have played in the league, had success in the league, and won in this league, you know. So it's really cool to like actually look at your coach, your position coach, or you know, your head guy, and be like, he knows what it's like to be in a 3-point stance. He knows what it's like to be in the backfield. You know, he knows what it's like to break a tackle and do this kind of stuff. And they know the grind. They know how to work. They know how to operate. And just kind of the energy that they bring into the building every day. You know, it's kind of like a player. And it honestly has been a lot of fun just to be able to learn from those guys because they've been in that position. And I think that's been, you know, the biggest 180, you know, from years past. So,
TJ, I know you've been dealing with a shoulder injury during this training camp, but what have practices been like? I remember when Dan Campbell got named interim head coach in Miami. They were doing Oklahoma drill like day one. Like, I know rules are a little bit different. They changed the rules and everything, but have you seen like the intensity step up?
Oh yeah, no. Coach Campbell puts us in a lot of positions. You know, he'll put us 1-on-1. He'll bring the whole team together and be like, all right, let's see this guy and this guy go against each other 1-on-1. Who's going to win? You know, and it's kind of been cool because you know, linemen, they don't really ever get to see us run routes, or they don't ever, you know, really get to see different things. So they're sitting off in their little, you know, corner or whatever, and it's like, hey, Hawk, you go with the safety. All right, cool, you know, and then they'll come up to you and they just get to see the route and they get to see what you do. And it's actually cool to, you know, to be in that situation. Puts a little pressure on them. But yeah, no, we've been tackling. We've been doing a lot of live drills. It's been really good for us, honestly, though. But yeah, the intensity definitely goes up for sure.
You're young, but you're so good that automatic leadership just follows that type of thing, especially with the turnover in the coaching staff and the culture and everything like that. Has MCDC told you, like, I'll tell you what, man, you need you to be like, has he had that conversation with you about being a leader, or is that just something naturally that you've done, or have you shied away from that? Is that like, how do you feel about ownership in the locker room, especially because you're one of the guys, you're one of the only guys I think that most fans would be like, hey, we got a fucking guy, tight end. Do you feel that pressure to be a leader, or is it just something that naturally is happening?
I mean, I don't think you can really, in my head, you can't really force leadership. You know, I think a lot of the guys will follow you if they want to follow you, and if they don't, they don't. You know, and I think I'm a guy that like I like to show how to do it rather than tell people. So I'll go out on the field. I'll handle my business. Do what I do. Play as I. Try to win routes, try to win my one-on-ones, and I just try not to take a day off. I guess that's my biggest thing, and I think a lot of the guys, respect that and they see that rather than, telling them what to do and then doing the opposite. I think that always rubs people the wrong way. And Coach Campbell, he comes up to me and tells me, hey, let's have a day today, or hey, let's do this today. And I kind of take that to heart, and I like to be the guy that shows how to do it rather than talk about it, because I think a lot of the plays, you can talk a big game, but you can't always show it. So I guess that's the biggest thing.
I think a great way to ruin a culture is empowering people that aren't leaders into leadership positions. Like, I think that is a great way, and the entire locker room knows, and be like, okay, this guy fucking stinks. Why is it, you know what I mean? Like, that is a real thing. So I like the fact that MCDC isn't trying to be like, oh, I need players that are leaders, man. Like, because that's going to naturally figure itself out, I think. I think that's naturally going to figure itself out. You're a guy, though, that everybody's going to look up to for the rest of your career because how fucking good you are. So I appreciate the fact that you're a blue-collar guy. I guess out of Iowa, should expect nothing different. We have a massive Lions fan on this show, one of the only national shows that has a Lions fan on it. Foxy couldn't wait to chat with you. Go ahead, Fox.
Yeah, TJ, I just want to know what it was like, when Matthew Stafford left the building. It seemed like from day one, you guys were on the same exact page. So I'm just curious, how it was when he left the building, and also how it is now with Jared Goff in there and how different it is.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you're a Lions fan.
Let's go.
Yep, let's go. But, Staff was my guy. I love, having him as a quarterback, smart player, probably one of the best, football minds that I've been around. Just kind of like knew like how to mess with defenses, knew how to see different things, and knew where the ball was going to go pre-snap. It was very impressive in that sense. So when he left the building in January, obviously that was tough just because it was my guy. But when I got with JG and I threw with JG, I was excited. I mean, JG's been such a good dude in this locker room. He's played, in a Super Bowl. He's played in those situations, and that's what he wants to get to. That's what he wants to get the city to. And he pushes me every day. He's talking to me about, hey, this situation, this is this, and he the way he talks to me is like, hey, that's a big play for that guy, but not for you. That's routine. And it's like, oh shit, all right, I like that, yeah, you're right. That is routine. Rather than putting that pressure on you, he's like, nah, you do that, and so that friendship that we have off the field, and knowing that that's my dog, and I'll go to war with him, is a cool concept to have. He's a little younger, so he's more my age. We got some stuff in common, and just off the field, I love just being around JG. So that transition. It was obviously Staff had been here for 10 years. So that was tough, but, being able to turn the page and have a guy like JG come in really made it a lot easier, I guess I would say.
A lot of turnover up there, and you're going to be one of the staples.
What is y'all hearing shit or what?
I had no idea we're cutting down fucking trees in my yard. Sorry, Hawk. I'm in day 9 of my COVID confinement. I'm allowed out into the wild tomorrow. I had no idea that was scheduled today. You do not deserve that. I apologize, but let's get back. Let's get back into this conversation because it's a good one. Whenever you do the tight end, and you get a chance to kind of like chat with the guys. And I'm not assuming that you guys weren't already friends. Kittle, obviously, Iowa, and he's way up there, Travis Kelce. But is there anything you learned this offseason from chatting with the other tight ends that you think like made you excited? Because you're already an elite player. There's probably some things that only experience can kind of teach you and make you even mold you into an even better player. With the tight end TEU, was there anything you took out of that made you like much better, you think? Or is it just mindset business stuff that happened down there?
I mean, I think I learned how to drink a little better, but no, I'm kidding. Honestly, that was a lot of fun. Those dudes, you get to see those guys and like actually, you're not around them as much off the field. You know who they are. You know who Zach Ertz is. You know who Travis Kelce is. You know who all these dudes are that make plays on Sundays, but you don't know what they're like off the field, and you don't know how they operate. That you don't know how they think. And so just being in that sense and like being with those guys and understanding why they run a route the way they run this route, or how they see this coverage the way they see it, was really interesting. And during the day we worked, like we went out on the field, we ran routes, they were showing us choice routes. They were showing us seam routes. Kelce was showing us how to run a 7-stop, like stuff like that. And it was cool to understand their motions, understand why they do things. But then it was also cool just to be with them off the field, like understand their personality and kind of like mold in that sense, because, now I'll we play whoever and I'll greet them after the game like they're my friend rather than, they're a tight end, they're another tight end. And it's a close-knit group in that sense anyway. And then when you actually get to know the person and know who they are, it just made it that much better. So, we'll be trading jerseys a lot this year and doing all that. So I'm excited for that. But
hey, TJ, what happens though when, let's say you're playing one of these teams where you were one of their tight ends was with you there, and a couple of your safeties come up to your linebackers, hey man, what's this guy do? What kind of routes he run? You just said how they're showing you run seams and all these different routes. What do you tell them? Like, I don't know, man. The guy wouldn't tell me anything. He didn't show me anything either. What do you say?
I mean, it's a close-knit group in that sense. I'll try to shy away from that. But
tell them to watch the film.
I'll try to give tidbits if I got them. But I mean, I can't. They don't tell us everything either. They weren't telling us their ins and outs and all their secrets to what they do. But like tidbits and stuff. Like they're still, Travis Kelce, you're still not going to be able to stop. So, I mean, like, I'll try to give you as much as I can, but good luck. George, I mean, he's another guy. You're not going to be able to stop. So, but, I mean, I'll try to give you something, but I don't know. You're going to have a tough time. So.
The tight end position, though, has grown into the most important position almost on an offense. If you got a guy, you got a guy. And the business side of it is real, like, hey, we block just like this tackle that's next to us that's making $6 million more a year than we are, and we catch and run routes like that wide receiver that's on the other side of us, and they're making $6 to $7 million more dollars a year than I am. At your young age, with how good you are, business-wise, do you think at all? Have you even got into the business thing of this whole thing, or are you just I play football? Teach me the football. Have you even thought about the business side of everything?
I mean, I'll be thinking about it here in the next couple of years. But I think right now, I haven't really thought about it as much. With George going through his whole contract and me being living down in Nashville and kind of seeing that aspect, it is kind of crazy to think that, we get paid less than a tackle and less than a wideout when we do both. We have to know. There's checks where I'm making checks now, or there's a safety down in the box and I'm yelling a different play, and it's just like, so they put a lot on us as tight ends to be able to run a route, to be able to block, and then you have to know the whole offense. You have to know motions, you have to know formations, you have to know, you have to be able to decipher stuff. And with me and a lot of the tight ends in the league, they switch us from Y to F to Z to whatever it is. And so we have to know the whole concept as well as the quarter, and so it's one of those things where, yeah, I mean, they need to start paying us a little better, and I think there's nothing short of that. So,
hey, good for you, by the way. You're going to be able to hopefully reap the benefits of a couple other guys going to the same battle for you, so you're going to look like the hero in there. Yeah, I've been saying it this whole time. More money. Last question for me, and then I think a couple of the boys back in the studio have a question for you, Hawk. And we can't thank you enough for your time here. Happy to hear you made the team, by the way. Congrats.
Good work.
Don't celebrate too early. Hey, we don't know. There's going to be a lot of roster movement there. Is Dan Campbell just playing Metallica all day, every day in the building? Who has the aux cord? And
it's screamo all day long. I mean, it is. No, he. I don't think they give him the aux. I've walked upstairs though, and you can hear it coming out of his office. So,
is he around?
No,
Are they in the locker room?
He loves that
Are they in the
stuff.
locker room?
He does. What's that?
Are the coaches in the locker room? A lot of former players. Like, what is the environment? Is it like, hey, we're all in this together and these guys are just making decisions? Or is there because it's hard sometimes for players to go be coaches and be like, hey, I got to separate myself from this, because sometimes the gift of a player being a coach is he understands and relates to the player a lot more. But a lot of other coaches be like, hey, you can't fucking do that anymore. Has there been a much different relationship with the coaches and the players you've seen with this coaching staff coming in?
I mean, no. I mean, with me, it's been good just because you get to talk to them about their time. Like I said, and so coach will come through the locker room. Some guys will come through the locker room. I wouldn't say they hang out in there, but they're in there and they'll talk to us like they would anybody else. And that's kind of the nice part, is there's no really secrets. Nobody really has any hidden agenda or anything. They're very straightforward with you. They tell you what they want. They tell you how you're doing. They tell you, hey, you should have won that route, and that's kind of the nice part about things is they're letting us run it as players, and it's been really good. So I'm super excited for the rest of the year.
I hope you guys win games up there.
Hey, that's the plan.
Hey, listen, but man, if you guys win, those MCDC press conferences are going to be fucking unbelievable for us, Hawk. I'm pulling so hard for it. At Boston Connor, go ahead, pal.
Yeah, TJ, has there ever been a time in the locker room during this offseason where you guys come in and you're like, holy shit, it looks like MCDC might have gotten 8 coffees today instead of the 2 normal that he does, or does he just always bring the juice no matter what? Douche.
Oh yeah, there's been a couple times. He gets a little riled up in the mornings. Those 8:30 meetings. He's a lot more wired than everybody else, and I love it. He brings in the energy. He did an install meeting the other day, and he was wired. You could tell he had his 8 coffees for sure.
Has he said anything absurd behind closed doors that you can say that maybe we haven't all heard yet? The knee cap gouging and biting was obviously the big thing. But I have learned in my life, dealing with these deep thinking meatheads, there is some very profound things that get kind of missed because the delivery's so ridiculous. Has there been anything that MCDC has said to you, you're like, God damn, that's very fucking profound, sir?
I don't know about that. I think he's pretty open with you guys. I think everything he says to us, he says to you guys. I mean, he's pretty straightforward with y'all. So I don't think he's hiding back. I mean, who he shows is who he is. So, I'm sure there's been a couple things that have got me, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But man, he's dang straightforward with you guys, which I like.
Hey, TJ, last thing for me, not even a question. Just something I want you to ask Dan Campbell at some point during this year after a big win. Go up and ask him about General Bobby Carpenter, if he has any stories with Bobby Carpenter. Yes. I'm curious as to where the truth lies in these stories. So that's just, you could tuck that away if you need to use it someday.
I'm staying with the band. Man. Allegedly, he stayed with the band the night before Mother's Day, says Bob Carpenter, while he was blowing through a Marlboro Red. He made that statement, and it just built the MCDC even more to me. Ty Schmidt, go ahead, pal.
TJ, I'm also a University of Iowa alumnus, so first and foremost, go Hawks, baby. That's right. I've always said, really since Dallas Clark, it feels like Iowa has kind of become tight end U with, you, Fant, Kittle, C.J. Fedorowicz, a bunch of guys who have been drafted in the NFL. What is it about Iowa that gets you guys ready for the league? Because I was looking back, I remember all your touchdowns, but you look at your stats and it's like, shit, he only had 30 receptions. They weren't using you like you get used in the NFL. So what is it about Iowa that gets all you guys ready for the league?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, they're a pro style offense, so they kind of teach us protections. They teach us route concepts. They teach us how to block. And I think the biggest thing with Iowa is just the culture that they have. I think they come in and they're like, hey, you're gonna have to work hard to play here. Like that. There's no sense of it. So when you get to the league, you just understand the amount of work that you have to do. When I was there with Coach Doyle, and he was one of those guys that always he was always pushing you. He's always telling you, how to make it to the league, the little tidbits, like what you got to do with your body. You have to stay in extra. You have to watch film. You have to do all this other stuff. And I think that was, that helped me a ton, just coming to the league and understanding that, hey, this is going to be work and it's not easy, and some places they work and then they go to school and they don't ever come back to the facility. And at Iowa, you worked in the morning, you went to school, and then you came back at night and worked hard. So, I think that's kind of the biggest thing.
West Virginia, we didn't do much school, but we worked. We worked. TJ.
I believe that.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Iowa, small town, Sheridan, Iowa.
Hell yeah.
Really?
Yeah. 30. I think I don't know. Fact check me, but I think when I was there, it was like 3,800, maybe 4,200 people in that town.
Jeez.
What did
Zero
you at high school?
stoplights. No
Did
stoplights.
you play quarterback at high school? What did you do? Did you play? There's no way they only had you at tight end in that tiny ass little bumfuck town.
They split me out. I was more of a wide receiver, but I played safety too.
You ever kick a ball?
What's that?
Did you ever kick a ball over there?
Oh yeah. I was a big punter. I did field goals every once in a while, but I don't know. Like you said, we didn't have a kicker there for a second, so I was thinking maybe I could show off my leg a little bit.
The internet, every move MCDC makes, they're going to question it. With no kickers on the roster, I mean, we all thought maybe he was done with kicking. Maybe he was just changing the game. We're not going to
2 points only.
Every time. We got a tight end, this big son of a bitch from some corn town in the middle of Iowa. Let's just throw him the goddamn ball. I can't thank you enough for joining us, TJ. Good luck this season. Thank you for your time. We appreciate the hell out of you, man.
I appreciate you guys. Have a good one, man.
Hey, good luck up there. Hey, go Pride, huh? Go be a part of that Pride up there.
One Pride, baby.
One Pride, one time. Let's live. Ladies and gentlemen, TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah! Hawk!
I love that guy.
Yeah,
man.
Weapon.
Very good.
Great lettuce.
He's unbelievable at football, too.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Very, very good player. When he said what town of 3,800 people, like those poor kids, he had to be decapitating every single day.
Practice. Somebody's got to practice against him. Some of his teammates had to practice against him and build that, sharpen that iron. They had to just eat that fucking corn strength guy.
Oh. I assume he played basketball too. He probably averaged 50 a game.
Yeah, that's like those tiny little towns when you run into one and they got a guy. It's like the whole town knows too.
Yeah. Well, those guys like him aren't even like if he's at a big high school in a big city, it's almost not fair. Let alone at a tiny school in a small city. Like, all right, man, it would have been. I want to get some tape. I bet they have it up. Some of that Huddle website, they have a lot of high school tape.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Jack Fox actually put up some of his high school tape. Jack Fox, the incredible punter for the Lions, he's another All-Pro that they have. Hawk and Jack Fox are probably going to be the next 10 years of All-Pros for the Detroit Lions. Mm-hmm. He put out a post that said, a lot of people asked me if I can kick field goals, and it was a Huddles video from his. He went 0 for 10. And he posted it. I love
That's awesome.
I love, with MCDC, that Hawkinson guy, how cool he is. Fucking Jack Fox, incredibly cool guy. It sounds like JG's a good guy.
Yeah.
The locker room and the culture is a big deal, dude. That wins you games. I cannot stress this enough. Maybe the Lions win what? 6 games this year.
10-7 and a playoff win. That's what I'm thinking.
Will they be demoralized by the beginning of their schedule, which I believe goes Niners, Packers, Ravens? Like, is that a thing within the locker room, or do you know, like, hey, that was a fucking tough stretch?
Every game in the NFL is tough to win.
Yeah, I agree.
That is honest, and obviously there's some teams that are legitimately, we all know, are better than the other teams. Yeah. But that year we won 2-14. There was 9 other games that we could have won. Like that is something that if you're in the NFL, you know that too. Like, granted, You know that the Packers game, okay, that's division. That's a big deal. That's worth a lot, obviously, especially MCDC's pitching that. But every week you got to fucking show up or you'll get embarrassed in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of times you get embarrassed when you take a game for granted. Like, oh, we're playing whoever. They're 3-10 at the moment, and those are the weeks we talk about on the show a lot, where coaches are craziest because they don't want you to overlook a team.
Yeah, and the coaches don't want to get embarrassed because if they're a team that is on paper much better than another team loses, well, that's the coach's fault then, and the coaches know they
coach didn't have them ready. Yep,
Yeah.
Coach didn't have these guys focused. They weren't ready, so that's when coaches will lose their mind. And I understand it from their point. I really do.
AJ, it might be different for you because you're number 5 overall pick. You know, you're AJ Hawk, starting linebacker. You did get benched in that one game, and you told him to fucking trade me then. But, I don't – like when people say, oh, they overlooked or they did this. Like at my position, it was me versus the ball every single time I went out there. So every week I was scared to death I would fuck up, basically. I have not gotten the sense from a lot of people ever that they overlook somebody. You know what I mean? Like
another
in football,
team, you mean?
Yeah, like players. Maybe
Players
there's
don't
some
overlook them. No. Yeah, like I don't think players overlook a team, but there's just something like subconsciously that they're just not dialed in like you are for a big game. Like when it really matters, or the opening game, it's a night game, Monday night, whatever it is, you know it's going to be a big test. Like no one has to say anything, but the whole team kind of is on the same wavelength. Sometimes guys can be scattered when it's a week where you feel like, all right, whatever, no one's going to say like we can mail it in and beat these guys. You know they're good, but you know you probably should win. Like things just can get weird, man, when that happens, especially in the middle of a 17-game season.
Like Rams-Jets last year. I feel like Rams-Jets is a perfect example where the Rams like, well, we'll probably get the job done either way, and then the Jets jumped out.
Yeah, but who's thinking that? Maybe 3 guys on the team? Like everybody else is scared to death they're going to get fired.
I think it just happens. But I think it just happens. Like, let's say you're going to a game where you know you should win on paper, and then just for whatever reason you have a slow start and you're down 10-0. Then you're like, oh no, and then the coach freaks out, and then everyone's in their own head like, oh, this is what the coach warned us about, and then that's why you got to have good guys up top that are leaders. Like, hey man, like just calm down. We're gonna pound these dudes. Like, let's just go out there, let's get one score, and then we'll go from there. Like, that's what you need.
Let's get to a break here. Have we done that?
No.
Nope.
Let's get to a break here in this hour 3, Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. And on the other side, we'll wrap up this beautiful show with some phone calls. I guess they're taking out trees on the property, I guess.
Got a
what happened?
I don't know. What's up, Connor?
Before we go to a break, Pat, I just want to remind you, football is 8 days away, and the fall weather is right around the corner.
Hell yeah.
And that's why you need the Bird Dogs joggers today. They will sell out fast, so don't miss out here on a once-in-a-lifetime comfort opportunity. Bird Dogs are the greatest shorts ever worn, perfect for the beach, for golf, for doing literally anything. Go to birddogs.com, enter code PATSBALL, and they'll throw in a free Bird Dogs whistle tip football with your order. That's that's birddogs.com, promo code PATSBALL, and boom, a free Bird Dogs whistle tip football along with your pair of Bird Dogs. The footballs are running out, so get them while you can. They are a must-have for beach and pool season. Check out the shorts, the pants, and now the Bird Dogs joggers. You will not take these things off, I promise you.
We love Bird Dogs. The joggers are going to be unbelievable. Middle finger flying.
Whoa.
Okay.
It was for the background of Ty's Reed. I was on the screen in the background of Ty's Reed that he cut to me.
That's classic AJ Hawk. Flipping off refs and fans, and now Ty selling Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs do not deserve a fuck you. They deserve a thank you.
That was not to them. Love Bird Dogs.
Of shorts and pants and now joggers that ever exist. We're back in 4 minutes. It's the Pat McAfee Show, Wednesday, September 1st. ACDC name tag then, because it's a long time. ACDC. Do you hate it? Do you love it? I feel like we potentially offended you after finding out you're a diehard Metallica guy and we call you MCDC.
No. Listen, I love classic rock as well. So. I don't strike you as a numbers guy.
Yeah, whenever I heard you, I was just like, you know what? I'm not 100% sure this guy is just going to be listening strictly to the analytics guy. I just kind of a feel I had.
I got through addition and subtraction. Look, the alpha comment was really, I wasn't directing that just at myself. I was saying that's Brad too. Brad's an alpha. That's our coaching staff. I mean, me say this about our coaching staff. One of the reasons I made the hires that I did with these guys, I know you'll probably end up asking this, was because just coming out of this COVID, I wanted to make sure we had more flexibility with the roster. And if these coaches need to play maybe a couple of games, so not everybody's thinking that way.
All right, it seems like every 3-4 years the Lions get a new head coach. It seems like the rebuilding process has been happening my entire life. 26 years old and I've never seen a playoff win for the Detroit Lions. So I want to know how you and your coaching staff plans to make this one different.
Yeah, look, first of all, I think I love Foxy, man. I tell you what, I love the optimism that he brings. Look, I would say this, to me, the short answer is Sheila Ford Ham. If you want hope, she's the one who's bringing the hope. Because I had put serious thought into this as I was hiring my staff. I was thinking about hiring you to see if you would like to be, our special teams coach. And then I thought, you know what, I know you doing this radio, it softened you up a little bit. I chose not to. All right, I hate to say that, Pat. But, I needed to just let that be known.
Well, I want to let you know, true alphas know when to hang them up. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Carroll.
Couple people, one college kid, took a shot at my swag.
We noticed. We know. We don't like that kid.
I don't think a lot of people understand what swag is. Some of this younger generation thinks, swag is just like the clothes I wear or whatever. No. The swag is a mentality. Yeah. Swag is a mindset. I tried to tell this to some of the guys in the locker room this week. I said swagger, which is what swag comes from. Swagger is a mindset. Swagger isn't that you have a Supreme backpack on. Or that you have your shoes, unlaced walking around with, you got your new Louis fanny pack that you make sure it's not worn at your waist, it's worn over your shoulder. That's not swag. That's not swagger. That's fashion choices. True swag is owning your inner essence. It's a mindset. Mm-hmm. And my essence on the field is that I feel like I'm a throwback player and I'm a tough guy. What I've played through, how I wear my stuff, I'm kind of a no-nonsense straightforward. To me, that's what swag is all about.
You're damn
all
right.
this like fake swag out there. I got my special towel. I got this. I got that. I got this writing out there. A lot of you guys are just posing.
All right.
Doing it for the brand. It's the Pat McAfee Show on Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Now that the world's opening back up, so many new thrills are on the horizon, and whether you've been in a relationship for years or are just getting started or are excited to get back out there and meet new people when the moment comes, you want to be ready. Roman ready. With Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for erectile dysfunction, all from the comfort and privacy of your home. Roman ready equals confidence, the confidence that you know you can rise to the occasion in the moment. We're looking at the Summer of Love 2021 version, and Roman wants to make sure you can participate in your way, whether that be as a single person or a couple who would still rather stay in with each other. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The whole process is straightforward, convenient, and discreet. Go to GetRoman.com/McAfee today, and if you're prescribed, get 50% off your first month of ED treatment. Make sure you're ready to have confidence and control this summer. Roman ready.
Thank you, Roman. Thank you, Connor. Welcome back to the show. Make sure you're ready to fucking sling dick whenever the time comes.
Hell yeah.
That wasn't in the read, was it?
I think it was on the back. I didn't even see it. It's right there.
Thank God. Shout out to Roman, getting everybody prepared, not only to be prepared, but also to make the flagpole stand taller and longer with their Roman swipe. Shout out to Roman, making us the best us possible. We have some breaking news in the golf world. It is with great jubilation that I read this tweet from Lefty. Phil Mickelson says he's humbled and honored to be a part of this year's Ryder Cup team as an assistant captain. Thank you, Captain Stricker, for including him, and I hope to help in any way possible. Go USA. Phil Mickelson, winner, is now a member of the Ryder Cup team, which Jordan Spieth told us a couple weeks ago. He looks forward to more than these playoffs because the Ryder Cup is the first team event. There's a parade opportunity, and we're burying the rest of the fucking world. Go America. Go Phil Mickelson. Coach Stricker got it right.
Hell yeah. Hey, is Phil playing, or is he a captain that's there? Like, remember when Tiger would come and wear the earpiece and walk around?
Well, Tiger also played in that, I think.
When he's hurt, he's done it where he's showed up and he's just been like a coach / captain.
Yeah, I think the coach is allowed to sub themselves in, though. I think. I'm not 100% sure in the Ryder Cup rules, but it sounds like Phil's going to be there. They got a lot of issues. Bryson and Brooksy. Okay, Brooksy is already being used as a term that is flagrant in the crowd.
What if you're what if you're talking to Brooks Koepka though? Hey, Brooksy, like, no, I'm talking to this guy. Don't kick me out. That's his name.
Situations are situational. I'm sure the golf people will manage this properly. I'm sure. Also, now you got DeChambeau and potential Patrick Cantley, who might have a little beef with the, hey, stop the walking thing. That locker room is going to be one where they're going to have to get on the same page because they're fighting for something much bigger than themselves. That's fucking United States of America, boys.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it is. Good luck, Steve Stricker. Hopefully Steve Stricker finds some kind of, like, Navy SEAL or something to come in and get those guys whipped into shape and get them all on the same page, like in their initial meeting.
I think that's why Phil Mickelson's getting brought in. I think that's why Phil Mickelson's the assistant captain.
Guy? He kind of connects everybody. He probably doesn't have clicks. Phil's just Phil.
A unifier, a glue guy, Phil Mickelson, whenever you need him, here he is. How you doing? Keep it moving. Let's bring this guy in to hopefully make everybody feel better and everybody be on the same page. If that team wins, okay, it'll be like this Pacers squad that the general manager who put it together said, I knew they didn't like each other, but I wanted to win a championship. That's in another Untold as well with Reggie and Ron Artest and Stack, Steven Jackson. That whole thing, that was crazy. And obviously the scumbags in Detroit are the reason why that happened.
Yep, sure.
Law enforcement actually stated that in the end.
They were scumbags.
Huh?
They were big-time scumbags.
Yeah, and Jermaine O'Neal's career was ruined because of it. And that's kind of what I learned from the Untold. Let's hit some phone calls here on the 5-Hour Energy phone line before we get out of here. Let's go to Oscar down there in Texas, the Lone Star State. Oscar, what's going on, pal?
Unfortunately, Oscar dropped off, Pap.
You literally just sent me this picture.
Yes, I did.
Why is Oscar quitting on the phones? Oscar was going to have a good call.
It's a classic Oscar move.
Let's go to Joey in California. What's going on, Joey, on the 5-Hour Energy phone line?
Hey, Pat, boys, huge Packer fan here. Shout out to Ty, AJ. Miss watching you play. Question for Pat.
Ty.
We just traded for Corey Bojorquez, but I think we could have saved that pick and just had Aaron Rodgers call you. Pat, would you have gone and punt?
They would have had to trade for me, too. By the way, Chris Ballard owns my rights. He knows that. He has come out a couple of different times and said that he had heard that I was maybe thinking about dabbling back into the NFL, and they would have had to fucking trade for you, is what Ballard said aloud. So I'm not 100% sure if I would have been a 7th-round pick or maybe no compensation at all. And I love Aaron Rodgers. But I was asked last year to potentially come kick, and that's really the only time I was close, and that's strictly because I knew they were going to win a Super Bowl, and they weren't going to need me to absolutely do anything. Now is not the time for me to go ruin my legacy by punting balls terribly in Green Bay. You know what I mean? When you retire after a Pro Bowl season, people think forever, oh, guy still got it. Guy still got it. Guy still got it. There's a chance I don't got it right now. I mean, I could probably kick something pretty hard. I have no idea if I'd be able to turn a ball over at an 80%, 90% rate at this point. I might be much worse than any other opportunity out there. So I appreciate the confidence. And if Aaron Rodgers was to ask me, I would have to think long and hard about it. But there's a good chance I am not the answer for anybody at this moment in my life.
You're going to get calls, though, because they now know you are an unicorn.
I am a unicorn, and I have the antibodies. So if a kicker and a punter goes down, I do have the ability to do both, or at least had the ability to do both years ago. Who knows where we're at now? I could go in backfield, I guess, and do some kicking if this guy decides to stop cutting down the fucking last phone call here before we wrap up this beautiful Wednesday, September 1st here, and Chris Mad Dog Russo takes reins here on Sirius XM Channel 82 Mad Dog Sports Radio. Let's go to Griffin in D.C. Griffin, what's going on?
Shout out Pat and the boys. What's up?
What's up, dude?
So yesterday we learned that Washington is going to keep tight end Samus Reyes, and that makes him the first ever Chilean on an NFL roster. So my question is basically, what are your thoughts on the future of the International Player Pathway Program, and if we'll be starting to see more international players in the NFL?
Great question, Griffin. Congrats to the Chilean tight end that I think I saw a little feature on the internet. I believe he's a big guy, massive guy, great athlete. It's good for the NFL anytime somebody from another country makes it on a team, because everybody else in that country sees themselves in that player, and maybe that'll produce next generation of talent from global selections. Like Australia, that once one punter made it almost, it felt like there was a lot of kids that were like, oh, maybe that's an outlet for me someday. So then you get hope, you get inspiration, you get inspired. And the NFL wants that type of thing, because ultimately, in the end of the day, that grows the fanhood, that grows the fan base, and continues to be a place where people dream to end up at. So I think it's great, not only for the Chilean, but for the Chilean folks and the kids that are going to view this and hopefully see this potentially as themselves one day. And that's more important than anything else the NFL can do from a marketing standpoint.
Well, yeah, when I first got in the league, each team had to have one player that was from like international. We had this linebacker from Sweden that was on our practice squad, and I think each team coming from the NFL Europe deal had to have one international guy on their team at least. I thought it was great. The dude had a sweet, he called it a Swedish mohawk. Little did I know it was basically like the faux hawk that became very popular here, but he had it back in 2006.
Was that like Liddell out there? But the thought that, the NFL is doing everything they can, because I think there's practice squad spots too. If you have an international player, it doesn't count against anybody else. They're trying to promote and grow the game. The best way to do it is for international players to continue to have success. I'm sure Chris Mad Dog Russo Unleashed will be much better than our show. We can't thank you enough for joining us. Shout out to Rupper. Shout out to TJ Hawkinson, AJ Hawk, and the boys for their effort. I can't thank you all enough for listening and watching wherever the fuck you may be. We're back tomorrow with another big one before Jay's wedding on Friday. Be a friend, tell a friend. Mad Dog Unleashed out of this 6-minute break. Cheers and have an incredible Wednesday.
Nailed it.
It's amazing. It's amazing that we're able to pull this off.
Good job, Zeke, Foxy, everybody but Nick.
Shut the hell up, Hawk.
Hey, Nick's done a great job. I mean, he kind of bamboozled me there 2 times in the last 2 days, where he sent me a photo with a group of callers on it, and then I'll pick one, and he's actually not on it anymore. But that's not Nick's fault. Nick's fucking juggling a lot back there too, AJ.
Thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. And also thank you for respecting that it's not my fault. It is the stooge hoi polloi caller's fault.
I think we've been nice to these callers, by the way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
AJ, this has been something I'm working on. I told you that.
Being nicer to callers? Do you think people that watch the show and consume everything you do you think they want you to be nicer to callers?
Ooh.
I don't.
I think there's some little punk bitches in the comments that are like, why is he so mean to people? But there's a lot of people in the comments that I hate, So, like, there's a lot of people in there I like, too. I've realized. I got to remember that there's always a pro to the con. And some people have said that, why would you ever call into this show because of how we treat you? It's like, I feel like I'm very fair.
Very fair.
If you make the show better, okay, and, it's been called into question, but there's normally 20-some thousand people watching at any given moment on this show. And then obviously when football season rolls around, it'll be higher. And then for other situations, it'll be higher. So whenever you call in, like, there's that many people just staring at you, and it's my job. My name's on the fucking thing. It's right there. Like, okay, if this stinks, we got to move along here. We got to make the most of this. I appreciated that Andrew from Tampa said, hey, I fucking stunk yesterday. You guys kept it real with me, and he came back in and he swung at it. Like, some people just can't handle the truth. Some people fucking stink, and there's a reason they should hang up their phone calls before they get onto the air. But some people are great and make the show better. So it's one of those situations, a situational thing, AJ.
Well, I mean, I think callers should, like, it's the ultimate meritocracy, right? Just like football. If you're good, hey, you're going to promote them, you're going to want them to call back, and you're going to keep them on for a while. If not, see ya.
I also don't like that Mitt's fucking mailing it in. He goes to the phones at the same exact time, so that's why we have the same people on the phone. I could tell. But Mitt almost died this morning.
Uh-oh. Oh, no.
he got sideswiped by an 18-wheeler. Could not explain how it happened, but he almost died. I guess he opened his car door and an 18-wheeler hit his car while he was standing there, hit his door, did not hit him somehow. So we are very thankful that Mitt is still alive. Now, we're not sure what led to this situation happening. Was it Mitt's fault? Was it not Mitt's fault? But I'm very thankful that Mitt's alive. This is for shoot, brother. I guess Mitt did almost die this morning.
Did it take his door right off?
Yeah, but I guess it's still shut, so it couldn't have been that serious.
Where is he right now?
He was shook this morning.
Yeah, in the back.
He's lurking around here somewhere. I saw his door this morning. There was a considerable amount of damage to it. It was bent up pretty good.
Well, an 18-wheeler hit it.
Yeah, it looked like A.J. Hawk's fingers running down the side of it.
Did the guy keep going, though?
Yeah.
The 18-wheeler?
Until he hit a red light. And then Mitt tried yelling at him.
Yeah, pulled
And the guy motherfucked Mitt.
Oh, the guy yelled at Mitt as if it was Mitt's fault?
I believe so,
Was he parked in the middle of the road?
I was parked on the street, and I actually had a ticket on my car. My car should not have been parked there, but live and learn. And, yeah, I did get cussed out by the driver as he was stopped at the red light right next to it. But I got his license plate, and I filed the hit and run thing, so I'm an adult now, I guess.
Well, yeah, but is it a hit and run if you parked in the middle of the street?
No, I was parked in a legitimate parking spot, but you just
had a parking ticket.
Yeah, I had a parking ticket. I
Okay.
just didn't pay the meter.
God, and now I'm getting photos of what it looked like in our parking lot this morning. You and the cops. How scared were you to file this?
Can you hold it up to the thing?
I was definitely not excited.
There's license plates in there.
Yeah.
I can't.
It's just a cop taking his statement.
Yeah.
But that cop's not a real cop.
Yeah, he did not really seem like a real cop. He also was not the person that called.
He's a public safety official. What is a pub? I'm zooming in.
I didn't realize that's not a cop.
How did you find him?
I mean, that's the first thing. That is not a cop.
Oh, jeez.
Wait, how did you find him, Mitt? Did they just show up?
No, so like I called 911. I Googled, what do you do for a hit and run? You call 911, I guess. And then, so they called me back and then asked me to go outside to take a statement. And the lady I was talking to on the phone was a lady. That was a guy, and he was kind of just a fat stooge. And like, I don't know. He kind of just told me, all right, this is your case. I don't know.
That was the public safety official that came. I don't know how that counts as a
Thanks
cop.
for clearing that up, Mitt.
Nothing's going to happen, Mitt. We're happy you're alive, Mitt.
For real.
Good job, Mitt.
That's scary. That's scary. I mean, you get hit by a truck.
Yeah.
That'll kill you.
It's like a movie.
Yeah, that'll kill you. I mean, you're dead. Could you imagine if we had to have a moment of silence for Mitt today to start the show?
Oh, God.
Be tough.
That would have been tough. Dude, I would have cried.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm confused how it hit his car and he is still alive.
He fucking just parks it in the middle of the street, though.
He told me his answer to that question was because I'm an athlete. That's what he said.
Okay, respect. By
Did
the
he
way.
jump back in the car then? He got out, opened the door, saw an 18-wheeler coming, and dove back in the car?
Here's Mitt this morning with the public safety official. Obviously, that doofus there is going to protect and serve.
Wow.
What is? I mean, he looks. Did he care at all about you almost dying or no?
Mitt said no.
That
You got to go into like
he's not
the
a
police
fucking
station,
dead.
don't you, to file a report? I feel like.
Yeah, I guess you don't, and you actually don't have to be a real cop to take a report. But yeah, that dude didn't give
What's
a
he
shit.
do with it though?
Well,
He
police.
sends it to the hit and run division, who then make like I don't know,
Hold
it's a bunch
on.
of bullshit.
That's what Google
So
said.
you don't have to be a cop to file a police report.
That dude was not a cop.
It's probably
That
like
guy
a
was not-
Pat. Don't you think it's like a
he
security
didn't have
person?
he didn't have a gun. He didn't have a badge. Like I wasn't. He seemed like
okay.
a security guy. Yeah, AJ.
I feel like it's like a mall security cop that just drives around the mall parking lot to make sure nothing's going on. That person's not getting out and shooting you, but they're just going to call the cops if they see something.
Yeah, their job is to make sure they call somebody that can do something, but they can act like they're going to the gun. You know?
Yeah.
He had a
Act
taser.
like they're- and he also has some sweet boots that look like they're freaking new.
Combat.
Look at those boots on that guy. He ain't fucking around, dude.
Hell yeah.
So that cop was standing there because there's construction happening, as you can see in the crane behind us. He's only there to make sure people don't walk into the construction.
Oh, so this guy.
Yeah.
Wait, did you just talk to some guy who you thought was a cop?
Oh, you have a uniform
He
on.
got I got a call from the actual police station. They said, hey, you have to go outside and talk to this cop. And then he took that. He yelled at a lady and told her not to walk under. I guess I fucking did. I don't know. But he gave me a thing. He said, I haven't looked at the report number yet.
It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I want to let everybody know.
I called Bill 911.
I am not an anti-cop person at all, but one look at this guy that's protecting this crane would tell me, especially with the things he has on the side of his, that is not the fucking cop you need to be talking to. No. I don't think. In a near-death situation. No offense to this guy. He's probably served a lot of communities in the past. He's probably retired at this point, but I don't think anybody filed a hit and run for you, bub. That guy, he's playing Candy Crush on his phone. I'm looking at him.
Go on. Hey, Pat, I don't know if you guys have already gone through it. Is there any way you can legit just walk me through what exactly happened? Did you dive back in your car?
So I mean, Mitt's the worst. Why are we doing this? For the good of the show.
What do you mean? Because we need to know. The guy almost died, man.
The guy fucking stinks at telling a story, though. I asked him.
Give him a chance.
He does. I already asked him
Mitt,
this.
you got it.
AJ, I already asked him this before the show. I said, hey, can you tell me what happened? And he goes, I was standing there. I was like, all right, well, fucking not going to do this on the show. Not going to do this, but here we are.
For after hours.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, I opened the car door, and then I'm standing there. My car door is basically right here. I'm swinging my backpack to put it into the car, and then I feel this just brush on my leg, and then my hand's on the door, so then the door just starts going forward. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I just see this giant-ass 18-wheeler obviously drive by. I'm like, what the fuck? That dude just almost killed me. And then I go up to the light, and I'm like, hey, what the fuck, dude? And then he just starts yelling at me, so then I just take a picture of his license plate, and I was like,
wait, was he slowly nudging your door? You said you felt your door start to move. Was he going?
This is your fault.
No.
This is never going to make sense. This is never going to make sense. You can ask him 100 times.
No, so the door was basically ajar, and then he destroyed the door.
Did you just use the Spanish? Mitt, we're happy you're okay.
Thank you for clearing it up.
Mitt.
I still don't understand how the 18-wheeler hit the door without hitting Mitt, who's standing there. But this driver might be the best driver on earth.
And then he stopped like 2 feet later?
The door with the front and then go around Mitt. That's pretty amazing. I think maybe we should give him an award as opposed to a lawsuit.
The best part of this whole thing that just happened is that Zito thinks ajar is Spanish for your door being open.
It is.
Well, your door is ajar is just the warning on your car.
Correct. Yeah. Not in Spanish.
You'd think the guy would have at least a little bit of remorse or compassion if he almost killed Mitt instead of just motherfucking him right when he came up to him at the stop sign.
Yeah,
Hey, but that truck driver, you got to remember, that truck driver's probably been driving for 9-10 hours. He has to drive in the city, too. He ain't got time for fucking Mitt's shit.
Yeah.
You know? Your car's not supposed to be there, clearly. You're not supposed to be there. This is on you, not on me. But hopefully this ends up like Judge Judy or something so we can watch you perform.
Hell yeah.
AJ, why do you do that? Why'd you do that?
I still want to ask him again. I want to know where you're standing. Like, when you gave your report, was the guy...
Let's do it again. Yeah, let's do it again.
Come on. That's what I'm saying, though. Like,
AJ, I felt the fucking... Like, I felt the 16-wheeler or whatever the hell it's called. 18-wheeler or whatever.
Jeez.
I felt the Mack
13.
truck, like... touch.
But how did it not
leg.
hit you, Mitt? How did the car hit your slowly move your door?
AJ, you're still. Why are you?
I don't know, dude. It was like inches away from killing me. I have no fucking clue, AJ. I was scared. I don't know.
Mitt, I'm scared for you. I appreciate you.
AJ, have you ever watched any? What's up, Val? Valerie's pissed off that you're asking these questions, but you know, they say that the right person to ask is the person that's traumatized from potentially losing their life on what happened, let alone that human smoking more drugs than any other human on earth as well. That might go against his case, but I'm thankful you try to get to the bottom of that, AJ. I do appreciate that.
I mean, this must be the greatest, like, rent-a-cop ever, I guess, if he could take down that story and write down something, like, legible that's sent into the cops.
He didn't get anything.
Yeah, that rent-a-cop.
What do you think that report says? We can usually find those. We'll find them. Those become public. We'll get that report.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome if it does. I mean, that is sketchy though. That fucking Mitt legit almost died this morning. I feel like Mitt is not
and
like
the guy,
that.
we need to hold the
dramatic
person accountable who's driving that truck.
Well, that was my first thought. Like, are we suing this truck that just fucking almost killed you, or what's going on? All I know, he was putting a report down with old fucking Blart across the street. It'll all get figured out, I'm sure. Thanks to that cop, by the way, for looking out for the crane. We do appreciate you guarding that parking lot, but I'm not 100% sure that guy understood the severity of the situation. He almost died, mate. I'm happy you didn't. That truck driver being a savage and blaming you after almost killing you is classic deflection. Classic.
Yeah.
All right. That's about it for the show, I think. I think so. Is there anything else to talk about? I think we covered everything.
Talk about B-Flow and Tua, yeah?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I'm actually getting attacked by the Dolphins right now.
Jesus.
Of course. Because remember, that was during the entire... I can't believe the Dolphins have better odds to win the AFC East than the Patriots.
Yeah. Yep. Wild.
They still do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even after Mac?
Even
Really?
after. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't seem. I don't know. Flores having to continue to say that Tua is their guy is just. I don't know. Doesn't feel right.
Big Val.
Oh, wow.
She's about done with it. She's about done with it. She is probably worried about Mitt. Don't worry, he's a doofus. He doesn't. Gumpy, we hope you're okay.
Get better, go.
My wife feels good. I feel good. Feels like the show feels good. It's a hell of a Wednesday, September 1st. Great show. I appreciate you all so much.
Thank you, Pat.
Appreciate you, man.
Pat.
Hey, thank you, AJ, for answering the call last night when I had some questions and stuff like that. So really nice.
You're welcome. You're welcome, bud. You back in studio tomorrow?
I don't know. Should I? Because my first symptoms were Tuesday. So 10 days would be tomorrow, but Tuesday night is when so do I have to wait I don't know how this works. You know what I mean? So I think I'm just going to wait till Monday to be safe.
Yeah. Well, what do they say, Pat? Better be safe than sorry, right?
I've lived my life that way. I've lived my entire life.
Hey, am I is it my age or what? But I was somewhere with a couple guys. They're both like 40, 41, and they'd never heard of Two Girls, One Cup. Let alone for real though. Am I out of touch with that? I figured everyone at least has heard of it.
Yeah, you're out of touch with that for sure. There's no reason to bring it up. What are you going to talk about next? The
Church of Fudge. Nuge. I was with Nuge, and Nuge was dumbfounded. He's like, "Are you guys never heard of it?" Yeah, like I don't know. I assumed everybody heard of it.
Is that your kids practice?
No. Where do you go?
The show's
That's
over.
the show, right,
That's
Gene?
the end of the show.
Hey, good show, boys. Good job. I don't know why Pat quit early, but we're good.